Okay, wow. That transition did not work very well. Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello to all the Discords. My camera's working. My goodness, it's all going incredibly well. My makeup is horrendous because it is so hot and I'm sweating, but whatever, we'll live with it. Okie dokie. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Trans Network Voice Modification Workshop. We have 4 different Discords with us today. So, reminder to everybody again that, yeah, I am in 4 different VCs, as well as being the YouTube chat. So, lots of different places I'm responding to. So, yeah, when you see me responding to somebody that you can't hear, then that's what's going on. And to fix my lighting, let's just see what happens. If I do that, does that now look way less terrible? A little bit. It'll do. It'll do. Who cares? Who cares? Okie dokie. What is the primary stream or venue that this is being hosted at, so you can be amongst majority of students? Best place to go is either the YouTube Trans Network. YouTube.com/@transnetwork, trans_network. There you go, butchered that. So you can either go there, or the best place to go is going to be my Discord. So that's if you click on, you were asking about within Rainbow Library. So if you click on Zara's14, like the profile, and this applies to all of you. If you click on the profile, I have all the links that are going to be useful for you there. So you can head to my Discord from there. That's probably going to be your best bet because the main two are Trans Voice and Trans Network. At least they're the biggest places. Oh yes, thank you, Lake. Disclaimer as well that to join my Discord for Trans Network one, you do have to be 18 plus. If you're not 18 plus, head over to Trans Voice. You still get to participate just through there because it means that I'm not responsible for you. Okie dokie. All right, let's get started then. So, first of all, some workshop rules and etiquette for people. Excuse me. For people in the different VCs. Simple stuff, nothing too crazy. Just make sure being super respectful of learning environment. I don't want anybody to be being super disruptive. Try to keep shout outs to a minimum. If you have questions, write them in the chat. That's the best place to do it. There will be portions where you can unmute and participate in stuff. You do get to do that. Just if we can keep that to those portions, and then if you have specific stuff you need to go over and me hearing your voice and giving some feedback, then make sure to do that in the end section. So right at the end, anybody that's in one of the VCs, they get to speak up one at a time, and I can just give them one-on-one feedback on anything they want, really. Also, Micah Scott in YouTube chat. Hi. Welcome to the workshop. Secondly, be respectful of your fellow attendees. So try not to speak over each other. If you notice that I've missed somebody's question, be like, hey, Zara, you missed this person's question. Because that helps me and it helps them. And make sure when we're giving people feedback on their voice, keep it super respectful. Criticisms like this sounds bad or this doesn't sound right or things like that, they're not useful at all. They give zero information. They just kind of make people feel bad. So try to be a bit more specific in your feedback with people. If you're unsure, just leave it to me. That's what I'm here for. And yeah, just, be nice to each other, the usual sort of stuff. You know what it means to be respectful to people. So, yeah. Lastly, if we can keep things on topic. So avoid filling the chats with information on what's happening in, I don't know, the MCU right now. I don't know what's relevant anymore. Keep things to do with voice and questions of voice or advice to each other about voice, things like that. Yeah, I think that's reasonably clear. Any questions about that? And yeah, again, we'll have that one-on-one section at the end. So if you're looking for direct feedback on your voice, stick around to the end. You will get to have that. The reason why there is no set end time with these workshops is so that just everybody can have a turn with that one-on-one bit. Yeah. Last bit that I need to add to this is etiquette is do ask questions. Make sure you're really active in the chats. It helps me so much to know where you guys are at, if you guys are following what I'm saying, if you guys are understanding. I will keep knocking this mic because I'm not used to it being there. Yeah, just be active, be engaged. It really helps me to know where you guys are at. If something needs explaining a bit more, I need you to tell me that. And if you have questions, please always ask them. because other people might be thinking them and afraid to ask themselves. So you're helping them out as well as yourself. And it helps me to know just where the audience is. So yeah, definitely the people that ask questions are my favorite people. Cool. All right. Just scrolling through the chats real quick. Okay, and I think we're good to get going. So, first of all, who am I? What is going on right now? So my name's Zara. I'm the owner of and the voice coach for Trans Network. Links all below that, YouTube, Discord, Ko-fi, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, if you're looking for any of those links, I don't think the Ko-fi one's there, but I mean, that's an easy one to figure out. But the YouTube and the Discord are in my Discord profiles. So whoever's presenting this to you, if you need one of those links, you can just click there to have a click-through link. Yeah, I've been hosting workshops since about August last year, and I've been teaching since about October last year. If you're looking to get lessons with me after this workshop, then head to my Discord. Prices are private lessons are £20 a lesson, and public lessons are free. Public lessons are lessons that are streamed, just like this workshop. Potentially can become YouTube videos, or I haven't done any of those yet, and other people get to listen in on the Discord itself. Yeah, so that's why they're free, because other people get to benefit from them. Cool. Very important bit. What am I not? Okay, I'm not a medical professional. I've got no medical qualifications. I can't diagnose you with anything. I'm not treating you for anything. None of what we're doing right now is like a group medical treatment thing or anything like that. All this is me teaching you a skill. It's like you going to like guitar lessons or something. It's just me helping you develop a skill. Closest we will get to anything medical ever is just if somebody's presenting their voice and I hear something that concerns me a little bit, maybe I'll recommend them go speak to a doctor. Again, that's no more than like one of your friends recommending that you speak to a doctor. It's, yeah, that's literally all it is. Okay. Any questions about that? 'Cause that's quite an important bit. Nobody typing, so I assume that means no questions. Let me mark all of that as read. Okie dokie, let's keep going then. All right. So let's go a little bit into the basics of voice itself. And why is that freaking out? Okay. So first of all, maintaining some vocal health. All right. Things that are really important to do. Make sure you are staying hydrated. Water is super important for all of how your body works, and the voice is no exception. Your entire vocal tract produces mucus, and that mucus is really important to protect it. That mucus will block any dust, any particulates, any pathogens that are in the air from getting into your body. It also helps to lubricate things. Keep moving around. I am going to keep hitting that mic. I'm so sorry. Helps to lubricate things, helps to make sure that everything's able to move as much as it should be able to, and everything gets that maximal mobility. So really, really important that you're drinking plenty of water. You'll be able to do more if you're drinking plenty. Also, make sure you're staying nice and relaxed. This is an obvious one where muscle tightness, everything we're doing, we're trying to be flexible, okay? So muscle tightness is going to be the opposite of you being flexible. Keep things relaxed. Don't be pushing to like feel your muscle go like, none of that's going to result in what you want it to do. Keep things relaxed. You'll be able to move more. That's what we want. Thirdly, warming up. Warming up is really, really important. Excuse me. Especially if you're doing a longer bit of voice work, which is what you'll be doing today. Warming up is really, really helpful for, again, increasing that mobility. It's kind of like all things within your body to do with warm-ups. We're using muscles. These are delicate muscles. They need to be warmed up to increase the amount of blood flow. Again, that will help with hydration as well as just anything else that the vocal tract happens to need. It will help with keeping things mobile, keeping things stretchy, I guess, making sure they can do what you want them to do. And lastly, make sure you're having fun with it. Voice work can be it can be quite stressful sometimes, especially when we have such a specific goal. So it's really, really helpful to just have a bit of fun with it, have a bit of an explore, and you're going to learn so much faster that way. So yeah, try to have fun with this. I know that for some of us, the stakes can feel quite high for this. So really, the more you're treating it as a fun, cool skill, the better you're going to learn. Cool. Okay. Is it just my end being a bit laggy, or do we have some audio leakage somewhere? I think I'm just being a bit laggy, which is fine. Okie dokie. Yeah, I just got a bit of lag. Okie dokie. All right. So things to avoid. Now, these first ones, they really do not matter much. Okay. Spicy. The first ones don't matter much. I'll go into it in a bit more. So spicy foods, they contain a molecule called capsaicin. Capsaicin is a mild irritant, really not a big deal. Just don't have it right before doing your voice work. Again, this is what I mean by these first ones not mattering that much. Day to day, do whatever you want. Just right before your voice work. If you have lessons with someone, right before your lesson, avoid something spicy to avoid that irritation. Can you turn your camera on, still muted, just to feel a little bit more present in the stream? Yeah, you can turn your camera on if you'd like to. Like I say, the only thing that YouTube sees is what you're currently seeing on screen, none of the other VC stuff. So yeah, do it, go for it. Caffeine. Caffeine is a diuretic, so it's going to have you losing your water. Again, we mentioned about hydration and how important it is. So caffeine, you are immediately just discounting a whole bunch about hydration. Again, day to day, I do not care, just not right before voice work. Sugar, increasing your sugar in your blood is going to make it hard for that hydration, that water, to leave your blood and enter your vocal tract. Again, hydration things, again, don't care so long as it's not right before your voice work. And then dairy, bit of a weird one. Dairy will just promote mucus production. I did mention earlier how mucus production is important. However, dairy will just have you excessively producing. Again, same as I'm always saying, I don't care what you do day to day, just not right before voice work. So right now, put away your Red Bulls, put away your ice cream, put away your pint of milk, I guess. Just drink water. Okay, smoking and vaping, obviously more of a serious one. You all know by now, smoking is not very good for you, and vaping is not much better. Well, it's better, but like not compared to just breathing like air. So yeah, I won't go super crazy with this, but like, if you are smoking, if you are vaping, it doesn't mean that you can't make the changes you want to your voice, but it will make it harder. So if you can knock it back, do so. Just as in moderation as it can be. Definitely don't do it right before doing any voice work or during voice work. And just the more you can avoid it, the better. I have heard of heavy smokers fully feminizing their voice, for example, and they succeeded. So it is possible, but it will make things significantly harder. Okay, these next three are the really important ones. I'll put them together. Strain, pain and discomfort, and tension. These are all signs that you're doing something in the moment that's wrong. If you're feeling things like strain or tension, muscles feeling tight, that's never going to lead to the sound you want. Most of the changes we're going to be making, you won't actually feel it that much. For reasons to do with, essentially, the movement that you make is actually a really small movement compared to like the movements we usually make in our body. These are big movements. What we're moving things by like an inch or so, or way less than that. So none of this is something you're really going to feel to a significant degree. So if you feel a muscle tightening up hardcore, it's wrong. You're not supposed to be doing that. In terms of like physical effort, what I'm doing right now with my voice is no different to what I would have been doing before I'd modified my voice. It's just, they're physically speaking, effort-wise, they should be the exact same. It can be mentally difficult, and you could have to think about it a lot, but your muscles themselves shouldn't be tightening, shouldn't be feeling under duress. And pain/discomfort. If you are specifically feeling pain, usually this will be localized somewhere, maybe like a stabbing pain or maybe like a burning pain. Something's very wrong, and you should stop what you're doing. Whatever it is, you're doing a little bit of damage. Now, not the end of the world. You just need to take a break and come back to things. However, if you were to just try to push through that pain, then we could have some more serious things going on. If you push through pain, then you will continue doing damage to your vocal tract. If you keep on doing damage, eventually you can form vocal nodes. If you keep going past that, those nodes can form polyps. Polyps have to be removed surgically. So this can be serious if you completely ignore your body. Pain is your body telling you that it is receiving damage, so listen to it. The idea of no pain, no gain is completely false for voice. We do not want to be feeling pain at any point during this. The other thing you might experience is it'll kind of be like a very spread out feeling that's similar to like after you've been to the gym or something, of muscle fatigue. Okay, muscle fatigue isn't that big of a deal. You just need to take a break. Whatever you've been doing has been too exerting and you need a little break, or you've just been doing way too much that day. Now, none of what we're doing, again, should be physically exerting, so you're probably doing something wrong. There are some rare exceptions where if you're somebody who speaks just very little day to day, then your vocal muscles might literally have weakened and atrophied. In that case, you may be someone who has to actually build that muscle back up, and you will be experiencing some vocal fatigue as you do that. Generally, though, any extreme experiences, really in general, of your body, it's a sign that something's going wrong. And none of those things, no pain, no discomfort, none of that is going to produce the sound you want it to produce. In most cases, it's actually going to produce another sound that you're not wanting. So these things are specifically sending you down the wrong path and slowing you down as you move along all paths. So yeah, avoid them. They're not what you want. Actually, any questions about that before we move on? Just to make sure we are fully understanding. Or if you do understand, then let me know. Yeah, we all good? Okie dokie. All right, so how does a voice actually work? Right, I want you to imagine a simple model called the power source filter model. It's a basic model. The idea is just you have air in your lungs, okay? That air is the power behind your voice, or like the fuel or energy behind your voice, all right? That air comes up, enters into your larynx. That's this box of cartilage here. You can kind of feel it's kind of tough, kind of this hard thing here. Don't like push, but if you want to feel around, you can. Some people call this the voice box. That's like what it's colloquially called. Where your Adam's apple is, that's part of it. Within the lower part of it, is your vocal folds, or some people call this the voice cords or the vocal cords. Okay, these vocal folds, they kind of vibrate like that, opening and closing. As the air passes through, that makes that air start vibrating. All right, vibrating air, your ears pick up as sound. So now we have a sound instead of just the movement of air. All right. So we call this the source because it's the source of the sound. That sound then continues and it bounces around the rest of your vocal tract until it eventually leaves your mouth. All right. We call all of that the filter because that changes, those raw sounds, those raw tones into words, into like extra features of a voice, into language, all of the things that make what you're hearing right now is more than just notes, okay? That's all what the filter is doing, okay? So like your tongue, your mouth, the size of your larynx, the pharynx, all of that stuff, your nasal cavity, all of that is filtering the sound and you can see it in that little GIF, the sound is bouncing around, and as it bounces around, that bouncing is going to change if we change the shape and the size of that filter, all right? So how is this relevant to us? How does testosterone affect the voice? First thing to note is that estrogen has no effect on the voice whatsoever. The reason why feminine voices still change during puberty is because there is still some level of testosterone exposure during AFAB puberty, just less so in an AMAB puberty. So, what does testosterone actually do? All right. First things first, it thickens up those vocal folds, which means that as they start vibrating, they're going to vibrate a little differently, all right? The sound created at that source is going to be a little bit different. If I start emulating that sound change in my own voice, it's going to start sounding more like this, where we have that buzzier kind of a sound coming through. This is the result of if your vocal folds start thickening up, okay? We also have your vocal folds lengthening. This will drop your pitch by, on average, about an octave. We'll talk later about why that doesn't matter in the slightest, and you don't even need to modify it. And the last big thing, this is the big one, the larynx that we talked about just before starts to drop down and it starts to expand, all right? This then means that filter we mentioned, this first part of it has gotten larger, which means that sound, that source, is existing in a larger space. So it's being filtered differently. To super clearly show this, here's my ukulele, okay? I'm going to tap. So we have that source, which is my finger tapping on the wood, okay? And then it's being filtered through the body, all right, until eventually it exits through the sound hole. If I change nothing, except I increase the size of that filter, okay, so I'm still just tapping with the same finger on wood, similar material, okay? Similar pitch, it was only about a note lower maybe, if that, but a very, very different sound. That's that filter in action, okay? If the only thing we change in the filtration of a sound is the box that it's being created in gets larger, that's the sound change we start hearing, all right? Same thing happens to you during, or to your voice during testosterone exposure. The larynx getting larger and descending, we start having a sound more like this, okay? So testosterone exposure, larger larynx, this kind of a sound. All right? Is that reasonably clear to everybody? Does everybody get just the science behind all of this? So if I put all those things together, we have the larynx starting to descend, we have those vocal folds thickening, and I won't worry about the vocal fold lengthening right now for reasons I'll go over. Well, I can go over it right now, in fact. You can hear in my voice right now that I'm at a particular pitch, and if I was to just remove my modifications and still have the pitch the exact same, you can hear that now it sounds masculine without anything else happening. And I can switch back to feminine, and I still haven't really changed the pitch. Pitch doesn't really affect things very much. You can literally hear that happening in my voice right now as the pitch doesn't change, and I continue with my ordinary pitch pattern, and nothing's really happening. Pitch just doesn't really affect things very much. Main reasoning for that is because pitch is something that moves around a lot as you speak, whereas these other two factors don't at all. They're completely static, all right? So it's just like a human behavioral thing. We don't draw a pattern as clearly because we already have something much more static that we can draw a pattern from. So for vocal fold lengthening, would you say it has an effect similar to Patrick from SpongeBob, like an almost dopey open sound? Not from the vocal fold lengthening, from the larynx lengthening, okay? As that larynx lengthens and descends and then expands, now we have that larger space. So yeah, now we're going to get that more Patrick kind of sound like this, where we have that dopier, kind of a hollower kind of a sound, okay? But that's just it in isolation. Obviously, if we then add in the thickening as well, now we have both a lowered larynx, a larger larynx, and that vocal fold thickening, that buzziness coming in to create a more masculine sound. Is that reasonably clear? Does that make sense to everybody? I just wanted to ask, is the vocal tract anything past the vocal folds? Is larynx involved? Yes. So the vocal tract is everything from the vocal folds all the way to your mouth where it exits. Okay, that entire distance is the vocal tract. Lengthening vocal folds are more like loose guitar string. It's the exact same thing. Yeah. Whereas like a larynx lengthening would be the difference between like playing the same size string or like the same tune string on a bass versus on a guitar. That will change. I don't know if you've ever put guitar strings on a bass or whatever, but it will sound a little bit different. Or if you put like a double bass, it'll be a really different sound. Even though the notes are identical. Okay, let's keep going then. So, what do we do about this? As you've just heard in my voice, I didn't inject testosterone or remove testosterone as I was changing my voice there. If you are trying to masculize your voice, or if you're trying to feminize your voice, or if you're going somewhere in the middle, I'm not trying to change your hormonal profile. Even if you were to remove the testosterone, the changes that testosterone causes are permanent. And I didn't just do surgery in my voice, so all of these things can be changed behaviorally, okay? All of this stuff, the resulting sound, we can change that resultant sound manually instead of it just being kind of its default, all right? So, section 2, trans voice. All right, so very first thing first, before we actually get into changing the sound of your voice, let's get ourselves warmed up. All right, so SOVTs, semi-occluded vocal tract exercises. Huge big long word, or big long term, I suppose, with a bunch of big words in it. Don't worry about it, it's actually really, really simple. Semi-occlusion just means partial closure. Vocal tract, I've just gone over what a vocal tract is, your vocal folds to your mouth. Exercise, you all know what exercise is. You probably all hate it. It's not too bad when we're doing it in our voice. Essentially just, when we went over that power source filter model, all of that air pushing through your vocal folds, that's a lot of air pressure they're under when they're trying to do their vibrating. So to make this a little bit more chilled out, we want to reduce that air pressure. Now we still need our power coming through to power our voice. So instead, what we do is we have a partial blockage at the front. All right. As that air comes through, imagine all of those waves. Okay. If they meet a barrier, they're going to rebound off that barrier and start going back down the vocal tract again. So now we have a downwards pressure while we also have that upwards pressure. When two pressures meet, they cancel each other out. So now that upwards pressure has been significantly reduced and our vocal folds are under less pressure. Does that make sense? So we're just making a barrier so that air can deflect off of it to reduce the pressure coming upwards, okay? Because it hits it and cancels out. Yeah? Hopefully that makes a reasonable amount of sense. Any questions if it doesn't? Or I suppose tell me if it does. That's also good to know. Not seeing any questions, so I assume that makes sense. So how do we do this? All right, that graph there is a graph of different barriers you can create and how good they are, basically. My favorite one is the lip trill. We do have a straw in water, which is a really good one. It's just very inconvenient. So straw in water is, and I don't have a straw with me because I was running late, but I can kind of talk you through it. I get my bottle, open it up. So here is a bottle of water. The idea is essentially take your straw, pop it in, and start blowing bubbles through that and start making sound, okay? So go like, ooh, into your straw, which will then create bubbles. That water becomes the barrier, okay? And that's the best barrier you can use. However, it does mean you're blowing bubbles. And the issue of blowing bubbles is it creates a whole mess. You have to have a straw with you. You have to have the water with you in the first place. It's not very convenient, generally speaking. It is the best one. And if you are in a position where you have access to the bubble formation, absolutely go for that one. But it's just very inconvenient. Bit more convenient, I find. The best convenient one, in my opinion, is the lip trill. Lip trills are just... So the lips trilling is just you going... And then you just move your pitch up and down. Okay? If you struggle with that, I would say play around with it and try to figure it out if you can. If you're struggling to keep the lips trilling, if you're going like... stuff like that, try putting a little bit of pressure in cheeks. It'll help stabilize things a little bit. If you're having issues with the sound cutting in and out, like... then you need to play around with different pressures and stuff. That's kind of one, if you play with it and practice it, you'll usually figure it out on your own. The bubble phonations will help you with that one as well. They'll help teach you how to move pitch properly. But yeah, lip trills are a good one. You can also try V trills. A little harder to stabilize the pressure on those. Raspberry trills. Again, hard to stabilize the pressure. That's why I prefer the lip trills. Because they're just the easiest one, that's also very convenient. And still very effective. It's pretty far on that graph. You know, it's like fourth from best. Yeah, okay, so you can do whichever of those you like. I recommend the lip trill, although if you have access to doing the straw and water, the bubble phonations, that's definitely the best one. If you have access to that one, do that one. Essentially what you're going to start doing is we'll start off with a small pitch movement, and then we're going to steadily go further and further out each time we go up and down. Make sure you're increasing your lower end as well as your higher end. Okay? Suddenly you're really glad you use a band kid. Make the raspberry so much simpler. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to give a couple of go just so you can get a vibe for it, and then I'll get you guys to all give a go together. Okay? So it's going to sound like this. And you have that steady expansion as you're going. Again, going higher each time and going lower each time. All right? And do let yourselves go into your M2, into your sort of falsetto. Some people call this head voice. That's a bad word. We use M2 here. But allow yourself to go into that like second extension of your pitch as you get through, because we want to have a full range happening. Okay? All right, so everybody's going to give it a go if it's down to unmute. Keep in mind, before like volunteering yourself to unmute, we are streaming live on YouTube. YouTube will be able to hear you. But if you are down to unmute, then we can all have a go together. So everybody that's down to unmute, if you unmute yourselves now, and then I will give one for you to do and you can copy it, okay? In terms of the pitch movements. And I'll just use that as a way to gauge, do we have people that are down to unmute in this particular workshop? And no pressure if you're not, it's completely fine. Okie dokie. Also, I'm seeing that one of my Discords has the wrong sound settings for me. Let me fix that super quick. Boo, 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 boo. Voice and video. Boo, 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 boo. Yes, there we go. Shoot. Okay. Trans voice might have been having my sound cutting in and out. I hope that that's not the case. If it was, or if I need to repeat anything from earlier, please do let me know. That should be fixed now though. For bubble phonation as well, you're not as good at the lip trills. For any, just pick one. Whether you're doing the V trills, the lip trills, the raspberry trills, the bubble phonation, you just pick one. Everything was good in trans voice? Okay, good. Cool. Okay, I'm seeing nobody unmute, so that's totally fine. We won't do audio.
Oh, I could do it.
Oh, here we go. We have something new. Okay.
Hello.
All right, everybody that's down to unmute, get yourselves unmuted. I'm going to do one, and then you're going to copy it. Okay? Your turn. Using whichever trill.
Okay, I hope this picks up.
Nice. Well done. Okay, remute yourselves. Well done. That was awesome. And thank you for participating. Yeah, I didn't hear anybody doing it wrong there, so that sounds perfect. Well done. And you heard one person do that doing the bubble phonations, so that's what they sound like. Thank you very, very much. Okie dokie. Any questions about softies? Oh, I haven't talked about the benefits of these. Let me do that real quick. So softies are really, really useful because they will help. One, they'll do the normal warm-up things that you would expect from any warm-up that you do with your body. So we've got that increase of blood flow. We have all of the resources being provided that your vocal tractors need from that blood flow. And we have an increase in flexibility. We also get a few extra benefits that are specific to warming up the voice in that, overnight, in general, your body is always producing mucus. Your vocal tract is always producing mucus, okay? As I said earlier, the purpose of this mucus is, as you breathe, there's going to be bits of dust, there's going to be pathogens, all sorts of nasty stuff that just gets blocked up in your vocal tract so you don't get ill, all right? You then have these specialized cells called cilia, which brush that mucus up, which you eventually swallow down, okay? It's a bit gross, but that's how your body works, I'm afraid. Now, there's a slight problem there. When you are asleep, those cilia kind of just go like, and they don't really do as much, and you stop swallowing, which means all of that mucus just starts building up. And all of that dust is coming in, so it's getting thicker, so you're getting claggier and more mucus building up in your vocal tract. Not so fun. So if you've ever experienced morning voice, that is your blocked up vocal tract, okay, or your clogged up vocal tract. Nothing can really move very well because of all that mucus. Your pitch is going to be lowered ever so slightly. all of your mobility's gone. Usual things of morning voice. You've all experienced it. So, softies are a really good way of just clearing out that mucus. By increasing that blood flow, your cilia get moving more, which means all of that mucus starts getting moved out, and just the basic sound production also helps with that as well. So, yeah, softies are a really good way of dealing with morning voice if that is something that you suffer from. For Transmask, why do you like your morning voice better? True. You might, however, find that your morning voice is making it harder for you to do things, even if it is masculizing your voice a little bit. You can learn to do it intentionally instead of having to rely on a morning voice and only having it during the mornings. Cool. Okie dokie. Oh, I see more typing. Yeah, any questions about softies? You can also, in terms of practice, if you're brand new to voice work, start here, okay? Practice your softies, do these several, like I've gotten written down there, do these several times a day for 30 seconds or so, or a minute or so. A full set is going to end with, obviously, I've already warmed up, so I need to do a full set here. But basically, we're going to be going continually expanding until eventually we get to a full pitch range. As low as you can go as well, all right? And then at the end, I like to add a couple of sirens to really get an extra stretch. So we go up to the top. That's that siren, that nee-no, 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 just up and down in your pitch. And then the same thing at the bottom, okay? Okay, and that would be your full set. Just steadily making your way up or out until you get to that maximum high and low pitch range, and then bringing in those sirens at each end. I sound like a bubble-powered car. I don't even know what that is, but I'm with it. I'm for it. Does the size of your straw matter for ball phonation? When you did speech therapy, they had a special huge straw. Yeah, just go for a kind of normal size straw. A smaller straw is going to be a bit easier, and I'm totally fine with it being a bit easier. I don't need like super hench voice for you. We just need like a normal voice. So any kind of normal size straw. You will find the really small straws make it a bit harder. You will find that the particularly large straws also make it a bit harder. Sort of the size of a McDonald's straw. That's pretty good. Or any fast food chain straw. What you'll usually pick up on Amazon is going to be fine. And to be fair, you don't need to be super picky about that. Like, the size of a straw doesn't matter that much. Just don't have something that's like particularly crazy. You've heard people say if you need to use 2 straws and scale back when you can. You shouldn't need to use 2 straws unless you have particularly weird straws. It should be totally fine. Also, if you're finding that it's too difficult, raise your straw up a little bit, okay? I don't want your straw to be so high up in the water that you barely feel any resistance, but I also don't want it so far down that you feel a ton of resistance, okay? For most people, this is going to be a few inches in. Have a little play with it. If it's feeling reasonably okay to do, like you feel that there is that pressure, but it's not difficult to overcome, it's pretty simple to do, then you're at a pretty good depth. Yeah. Any last questions? And again, if you're brand new, start here and start doing these several times a day for a couple of weeks. It's going to really help you with your vocal hygiene, and it's going to make sure that you have good vocal technique in terms of when you do move your pitch up and down. Coffee stirrers might work in a pinch, but when you almost certainly will want more than one. I have no idea how a coffee stirrer would work, but maybe we have different ones in the UK. A coffee stirrer in the UK is like a flat plastic thing that you, or like a wooden stick. There's not like a hole to blow through. Maybe that's a British thing though, I don't know. Straws are reasonably accessible. You can get on Amazon pretty cheap. Or steal some from Mackey's. Just waiting for the last questions because I can see some being typed. Over here, they're often a very thin black plastic straw. Okay, yeah. That would work in a pinch. Maybe use a few if it's like really thin. So you have like a reasonable amount of air movement. All right, let's keep going then. And if you do get more questions about softies that you're just like, oh, I totally forgot to ask Sarah about, like, it's fine. Just let me know. Make sure that is in the chat. No question should ever be abandoned. I want those questions. Maybe 2 to 3 millimeter in diameter. Yeah, that's pretty small. You probably want a few of those. Would you avoid metal straws? No, you can use metal straws. I use metal straws. Metal straws are great. You can wash them easily. Metal straws, yeah, go ahead. I see no reason why that would be an issue. Cool. Okay, so first thing to actually change your voice. Weight/glottal quotient. This is the change that's happening as a result of those vocal folds thickening. Okay. Again, when they start thickening, your voice moves from around here to around over here, where we have that thicker kind of a sound, that buzzier kind of a sound, that heavier kind of a sound. Because of that heavier versus light description, we have this term weight that's emerged. Just most people would describe this as sounding quite light. Most people would describe this as sounding much heavier. So we called it weight. You don't have to call it weight as long as you're call it something that other people will understand, and maybe when you're talking to other people, call it weight. But in terms of what you understand this as, you could think of it as buzziness, roughness, gentleness, softness, meatiness, thickness, whatever resonates with you as a term that makes sense is completely fine. We also have this term glottal quotient that you might run into. The idea is essentially what's actually happening is as your vocal folds thicken up, as I said, they vibrate differently. So we have this concept of them opening and closing to make that vibration, okay? If you break that down a little bit, we could think of the percentage time they spend closed versus open in each of these open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, okay? Percentage of time closed versus open in each one individually, all right? If they are spending a longer amount of time closed, then we might call it a close quotient, or a longer amount of time relatively open, might call that an open quotient. Specifically, what we're talking here is masculine voices have a close quotient of about 0.3, which means 0.7 open quotient. Oh, sorry. Quotient is a maths term. It's literally just percentage, but displayed as like an amount of like the total being 1. So 0.7 is 70%, 0.3 is 30%, 1 is 100%, 0 is 0%. Okay. I don't know why this is what we use in voice, but it's what we use in voice. One for the mathsy people there. In typical masculine voices, usually we have a close quotient of about 0.3. In feminine voices, we usually have a quotient of about a close quotient of about 0.2. Okay, so it's not a huge change we're having. I don't want you guys, for those that look at research and stuff, I don't want like a closed quotient as in like, you know, more closed quotient than open quotient. We're just looking for about 0.3 closed quotient, about 0.2 closed quotient, depending on what you're going for. And again, that's for most of you, you don't need to worry about what that is in depth. That's more for the people that decide to read research. And you use like electroglottography and stuff like that for that. For most of us, what we're going to be focusing on is the sound, okay? Again, it's that, to show it over here, we have this sound right now. This is going to be a lighter kind of a sound. We have this sound right now. This is going to be a heavier sound, all right? Or whatever term you want to insert there. I'm just going over all the terms in case you run into something that confuses you. You can use whatever term you want. So long as when you're talking to me, I know what you mean, and we're talking about the same sound, then I don't care if you call it jingle jangle or whatever. It's the sound that's important here. So how do we actually change this? First important thing to know is that your weight has kind of a connection with pitch, in that going to higher pitches is way easier if you have a lighter weight or a more open quotient. And going to lower pitches is only possible with a heavier weight or a more closed quotient. So we can use this as part of our drills, okay? Now, my favorite drill for this is the pitch hill, okay? So for lightening your weight, we would use a pitch hill. For increasing your weight, we'd want a pitch trough, okay? Pitch hill sounds like this. You start off with a lower pitch and a heavier buzzy voice, okay? And you start dragging that pitch up, which will make you start lightening instinctively. And then you want to take that light weight, identify it, and try to hold onto it and keep it light as you drag your pitch back down again. So your end result isn't a pitch change, it's a weight change. Okay? Ask your questions if that didn't make sense. Okay? I'll demo it right now. So now I have that lighter weight in my voice. I don't have that buzziness that I started with when I was over here. It sounds nice and light. It sounds nice and gentle. It sounds as it did at the end of that drill. So again, we're starting off, or if I do it over here, and then I'll continue that kind of a voice as I go into my talking, okay? So I'm trying to maintain that lighter sound. I'm trying to not have my loudness change. I can still be at the exact same volume as I was before, but I sound much gentler. I sound much softer. I don't have this buzziness that was in there before. Does that make sense to everybody? In terms of the pitch hill, are there any questions about that one? So for the feminizers, you're going to be using the pitch hill. Okay, while we wait for questions, everybody that's down to unmute, let's do it again, and we'll all do a pitch hill together. If you can unmute whether you are masculizing or feminizing, because we'll just get both to do both, so that we don't just have like one masculizer doing on their own, because that's what happens if you don't invite both.
Sure.
Nice. So everybody, get yourselves unmuted if you are down to unmute, and let's go for a pitch hill together, and we'll just do it all together because you've already heard me do it. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Talking, trying to maintain it.
Yeah,
Nice.
sure.
Okay, nice. Okay. Everybody did the pitch drill perfectly there. Right, if you want to remute again now. Thank you so much. You all did that perfectly. Well done. That was really, really good. So everybody listening in, you've just heard like a bunch of people doing it at the same time. The thing they were all doing is how it should sound, okay? So you heard it with different voices doing it. Cool. Okay, keep your questions coming while I go over pitch trough. Oh, you can answer this after. How would you describe the process or vocal aspects that relate to voice characterized as brassy or even warm? You can see that on the Sims, and you're curious. Brassy usually, so okay, one of the things of brassiness is usually a heavier weight. That's usually what people mean by brassy. Warm, I'm not quite sure. People can mean a lot of different things by warm. I would need to go back on the Sims because I haven't played that game in ages, and I would need to check what that slider is actually changing, because that can mean like a lot of different things to different people. Yeah, brassy can mean a buzzier voice, like a heavier weight, as well as usually a smaller size, which we'll go over in the next bit. Maybe like Arthur Morgan, like more open welcome. Okay, yeah, there might. So, if warm is being used as like an opposite of brassy, then we might be thinking of like a light weight versus a heavier weight. Possibly. I'd need to double check that slider to see exactly how they're using it. But they might be using brassy versus warm in that kind of a way. As like a buzziness or less buzziness, or a heavier weight versus lighter weight. How important is weight to feminization? Can you feasibly reintroduce a bit of weight to not sound soft-spoken? Yeah, so first of all, it shouldn't make you need to sound soft-spoken per se. Usually when we're thinking soft-spoken, we're usually thinking a significant decrease in volume, okay? Your loudness should not change from this. Loudness is a completely different factor. It can kind of sometimes sound like loudness is changing, even when it's not. And you will often instinctively change your loudness pairing with this, but they are completely separate factors. So try to keep your loudness at like a normal conversational level. And I'll talk about this quite a bit later, Skylar. You do have a lot of flexibility with this. There isn't like a feminine weight. I know I went over that 0.2. That's an average. There isn't a feminine weight and a masculine weight. There is just more light is going to be more feminine, more heavy is going to be more masculine. And usually we aren't going for like 0 weight, okay? Because that's going to be no testosterone exposure sounding voice. That's going to sound like a child. Think back to when I went over testosterone exposure. AFAB voices were still exposed to testosterone. Cool. Okay, pitch trough. So the opposite. Same concept. We're going to take our voice and we're going to start going lower in pitch. Now, as you go lower, we want to go as low as we possibly can to get there. Your voice is going to enter this weird phase called the grave extension. Okay? Grave extension, you'll know it when you hear it. It features a bunch of vocal fry. It features a huge amount of closed quotient of heavier voice. It's got this kind of sludgy vibe to it. You want to get yourself down there, grab that heavier weight, that closed quotient, and start dragging it back up in pitch again. Okay? If the other features come with, that's totally fine to start with, but in time as you practice this, you want to get it so that only that heavy sound, that buzzy sound comes through. So it's going to sound like this. And now I have that really, really heavy sound coming through in my voice. This is that heavy, heavy weight. Does that make sense? Oh, sorry. What have I just done? Why is it going backwards as I flick forwards? What? Okay, my scroll wheel has changed directions. Whatever. Yeah, does that make sense to everybody? In terms of the pitch trough. So we dip down, we have that that change all of a sudden, where we have that huge amount of fry coming in, we have that really buzzy sound, that really sludgy kind of vibe, and then from there we grab that buzzy and try to drag it up, okay? If I was to do it over here, it would be like, and now I have that buzzy sound coming back through my voice, okay? So we just pitch down as low as we can and start dragging that as low as we can. Find the buzzy sound within that. You'll hear there is a buzzing there, and drag it back up, okay? All right. It's more obvious in my feminized voice because it sounds odd in a feminized voice. Just like it sounds more obvious when I do the lighter weight in my masculine voice. This sounds more obvious because it's more abnormal in the voice. I read that question already. Cool. Okay. All right. So everybody that is our go-to people for unmuting. If you want to unmute yourselves again, we'll all have a go of a pitch trough and see how everybody does. Let's get yourselves unmuted. Give it a go. Second for people to unmute. All right. So 3, 2, 1. Give it a go. Okay, I only heard a few at the end there, but it sounded right. Okay, so remute again. And with any of these, if you're unsure how you did, and for those that are muted at home, you should still be joining in, just muted. Obviously, ask your questions. And if you want me to take a look directly, we can do that towards the end. Or I guess if you join my server, there's a little thing where you can submit clips for me to listen to. Cool. Okay, I see typing. There are questions that have been formed. Again, that one's for masculizers in terms of actually using it in your voice changes. And with all of these things, first thing is just getting good at adding as much as you can. After that, you can start playing around with how much you actually want. Things to not muddle this up with, by the way. For the people that are feminizing, to get that lighter weight, don't confuse this with breathiness, okay? So a breathier kind of a sound sounds like this. Literally, I'm breathing out as I'm talking, okay? A lightweight sounds like this. Or a lightweight sounds like this. It doesn't sound like this kind of talking right now, where I have all of this breathiness coming through. That's a different thing going on, okay? Don't want breathiness. I want just a very clear lightweight, all right? And then for the masculizers that are going for a heavier voice, I don't want any, you don't know what hyperadduction or abduction mean, but don't worry about that. Hyperadduction sounds kind of like this. That's not quite it. It kind of sounds like this, or I have this really, really strange sound to my voice, okay? I'm struggling to get the air out to actually output the air, so occasionally you're going to hear me going like, or occasionally you'll have to like breathe out to actually breathe in again. This kind of, that really strained kind of a sound, that really tight kind of a sound. This kind of a sound like right now, this is me using a huge amount of adduction. I don't want that. I just want a really clear, buzzy sound, okay? It shouldn't fuck with your breathing. It shouldn't feel super effortful. It should just feel like a buzzier kind of a sound. That's it. You shouldn't really feel anything for either of these. There's not like a significant feeling change. You just sound different. What else? Oh, for the also for masculizers, I should have written it down. This sound right now, this is vocal fry. Don't muddle up vocal fry with a heavier weight, okay? That's going to be one of the sounds in your grave as well, but it's a different one of those sounds, okay? It's a kind of crackly, kind of a poppy kind of a sound. So you're hearing all these pops in the voice, you're hearing this crackle. What else? Whatever other words you would use to describe this voice. This is obviously very different to me talking right now, which has that buzzier kind of a sound. Yeah? Just two different things. Lastly, hyperabduction. I rarely have people doing this, but just in case. This would probably be the feminizers that would do this, but both might. And this kind of sounds like this. It has this really raspy quality to it. It's similar to the breathiness, but with a whole bunch of tightness in there. That's going to be hyperabduction. It'll be quite an uncomfortable one to do. You'll feel somewhere around here will be like a discomfort and tightness, maybe a burning sensation. You really don't want that hyperabduction. It's not the sound we're going for. It's not going to get you the sound you want, and it's probably going to be quite uncomfortable to do. Okay, any last questions on weight before we move on? Hyperabduction sounds like Jennifer Coolidge. I don't know who Jennifer Coolidge is, but maybe. Yeah, you sometimes hear people with GERDs sometimes have a little bit of hyperabduction going on. And just some people adopt voices that aren't very efficient and end up sounding hyperabducted. But generally you want to be avoiding it because it's not the best. There's certain singing styles that will use it, and there are certain like voice acting things that will use it. That's fine. That's in a specific environment. In your voice generally, you probably want to avoid it. Cool. Okie dokie. All right, let's keep going then. So we've done weight stuff. All right, so if you're brand new, start off with your softies, and then for the feminizers, I want you to move on to weight. Get really good at weight before moving on, and then start working on the size. For the masculizers, start here, okay? Start with size, get really good at it, and then you move to weight, okay? So you both kind of swap. So, size, it's the idea of this filter changing, specifically the first part where the larynx is, all right? We did that guitar versus ukulele thing earlier. Same idea as your, we can literally do the exact same thing. If I don't know how well you can see this because I'm not super close to my camera. I need to move my mic over here while also, okay, that'll do. Hopefully you can now see my larynx reasonably clearly. That Adam's apple there, that's part of larynx. So if you can see that, you can use that to track, okay? So what I can do is that exact same tapping test. So that super demonstrates, put my mic back. Yeah, I'll do. That demonstrates that we have this exact same change happening as that larynx moves up and down, okay? We have that size changing. We have the exact same thing as the ukulele versus the guitar, all right? So there's a whole bunch of words you'll see used for this. Larynx height is one of them because we modulate this by changing the height of our larynx. Size is one for obvious reason. It's literally the size of the chamber of our voice, size of our larynx. Resonance is because as those sound waves bounce around, they are resonating, and we call these different chambers resonators. So that's where resonance comes in. You might find other words used for this. Again, so long as we're making the same sound change, so long as we're referring to the same thing, doesn't matter what word you use. If you want to call it wimbo wambo, call it wimbo wambo. So long as I know what you're talking about, and so long as we're talking about the same thing, then whatever term works. So, all right, again, it's the vocal tract size changing, specifically the larynx. All right, and it's the difference between my voice right now and my voice right now, or it's the difference between my voice right now and my voice right now. Okay, so now I have a very more typically masculine voice, whereas now I have a smaller voice while still having that heavier weight. Okay, so how do we change this? All right, so we have our vocal folds. They are vibrating. Okay, normal talking, they're vibrating. But if I start whispering just like this, just ordinary whispering, like a full-on whisper, now my vocal folds are just staying open. So now if they're just staying open, we no longer have the sound source. So because we don't have the source, all we have is the air moving through the filter, which means we can hear filter changes. Okay?
So when I whisper over here, the only thing that's changed to do this is the filter.
And when I move it to over here, again, the only thing that's changed is the filter. It kind of sounds like it's a pitch change. It's actually not. It's actually the filter changing shape, specifically your larynx changing. All right? Because it's not changing the words I'm saying. That would be your mouth. It's changing the sound before that, which is your larynx. So it kind of sounds like pitch. It's actually a completely different factor. To really show this, okay, well, first I'll introduce you to the exercise, and then after that, I'll show you how actually you can hear that this isn't a pitch change. So how do we do this? All right. Boo. Big dog, little dog. I want you to all now, even if you're muted, okay, or you can, yeah, just be muted, that's totally fine. Just try panting like a big dog, okay? You'll probably make a sound something like this. Okay? If you did a sound something like that, you did a good job. Now try panting like a really little dog, you know, think Pomeranian, think Chihuahua, something like that. Okay? You probably made a sound something like this. Perfect. You just changed your larynx height, your resonance. If you look in a mirror when you do that, or look at my screen, your larynx height is changing, all right? If I then make that into sound, so I take it out of a whisper without anything else changing, or to make it super clear, I won't even change your pitch, okay? So I have this smaller sound.
And I have this larger sound.
Okay? I went for quite a low pitch there, so it made it a little bit tricky. But you get the idea. Okay? Same same pitch. A little bit wobbly in the there, sorry. But the pitch isn't changing. Pitch ain't changing. Something before the pitch is changing, or around the pitch is changing. It's that filter. Okay? Now, big dog, little dog is great. It has one flaw though. Some of you might have gone, problem. We have an extra part of our filter changing when we do that. Look at my mouth. The mouth is changing. So now we have a different chamber changing. So to help with that, because that's not what we're looking for the larynx to change. Little adaptation I made to the drill is instead of doing a big dog, little dog, we're going to do a big cheese, little cheese. Okay? So we just say the word cheese. Cheese, 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 cheese. To get ourselves smaller. Or we use the words paw to get ourselves larger. Okay? Big cheese, little paw, big paw. Those particular words are chosen just because cheese is a very small word in and of itself, and paw is a very large word in and of itself. So the stuff to do with how you say words is forced to already be at its max, meaning the only thing that's left is your larynx to move, which is what we're wanting. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Because this is a bit more of a complicated one, and people usually take a little bit of time to kind of get their head with it. And by the way, you sometimes see some people saying like, oh, you can only get this if you have like good anatomy or something. If you can swallow, you're capable of doing this. Not that you should be using your swallow to do this, but you can see, again, if I just go near my camera, you can see, watch my larynx. Oh, sorry. Watch my larynx. It's there. Okay, when you swallow, your larynx goes up, it goes down, and then back to rest. When I swallow, it goes up higher than my voice is right now. So everybody can do this to a huge degree if they're capable of swallowing. Now, I don't want you doing any sort of swallow and hold. Like, don't try to swallow, use that to set it, and hold that as you try to speak, because there's a lot more other things that happen when you swallow as well. There is a method called the swallow and hold method, which is basically you start doing a swallow and then you hold it at a certain height and try to speak through that. Horrible idea. Many people have legitimately been injured from that. You should never, never do it. Reasoning for that is, as I said, there's a lot more stuff than just the larynx moving. Your swallowing is a whole complex set of behaviors. Basically, we have tubular food. Your tongue moves it into a ball. We call that a bolus. It starts pushing it down your pharynx. It's just a bit of a back throat. Don't worry about it. Your larynx, it has this like flap of cartilage that closes the larynx, so that larynx is the air hole. Okay, you don't want food going down there, so it closes it off. You can imagine trying to talk through that is a problem. And then your larynx moves up to then push that bolus of food down. Okay, so that's that up and then down thing, and back to rest. So there's a whole bunch of things happening when you swallow, including your vocal tract being cut off. Okay, that's why you don't breathe when you're swallowing. At least why you're not supposed to, and why you can't or shouldn't talk when you swallow. Your whole anatomy is set up to stop you from doing that. So yeah, definitely don't try to swallow and hold. It will probably hurt, and there is a very high chance of you doing some damage when you do that. I do still see some people suggesting that you should swallow and hold. These days, it's usually people that have a disclaimer at the start that they're not a vocal coach. It's just what they do. But you really don't want to be learning that way. Stick to big cheese, little cheese, or little paw, big paw. It's way safer. It's just the larynx moving. It's way easier, frankly. It's going to get you so much better results than swallow and hold. Your speech therapist actually made you do that. That's insane. That's ridiculous. You will find that unfortunately speech therapists tend to be actually a bit shit at doing specifically trans voice stuff, which it sucks, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, just to make that super clear, I don't want any swallow and holds. Okay, any other questions about what we're doing here with this changing of our size with these big cheese, little cheeses, or these little paw, big paws? Yeah, are there any questions about this? The big one is make sure you aren't confusing this for pitch, okay? Yours, how do you holding it in place with your finger? Oh my gosh, that's really dangerous. In the first lesson, you ran a mile, thank God. Yeah, that's, don't, okay. Larynx, air goes through there. Remember, this is connected to your lungs, okay? This is how you breathe. This is your windpipe as well, okay? The reason that it is where it is because it is your windpipe. We just have some vocal folds in there, so your windpipe can now be also voice. You use this for breathing. Don't try to push things or smush things. That's what choking is, okay? Don't do that. You will... That's probably even more dangerous than swallow and hold. Definitely don't try to push your larynx. Jesus Christ. This is a breathing place. Please don't do that. I cannot believe your speech language therapist told you to just choke yourself to sound like a girl. That's insane. That's a new one. I've never heard somebody being told to do that. Yeah, don't... I cannot stress enough. Don't try to push it. Jesus Christ. Yeah. No. Again, actually, no, I didn't say this earlier. I should have said this earlier. All of these changes, everything we're doing right now, I'm explaining the underlying mechanisms to you so you have a full context of understanding. And so that, frankly, if you do go to a speech therapist, you can make sure that they know what they're on about. But yeah, I'm telling you all of this about the underlying mechanisms and anatomy. But in terms of you controlling this, I don't want you trying to control the height of your larynx. I don't want you trying to control your vocal folds and their behavior. I want you focusing on the sound, okay? When you move pitch up and down, you probably aren't thinking about your vocal folds. You're probably just going like, move pitch up, ah, move pitch down, ah. That's probably the extent that you engage with this. It's the exact same for every other sound you make, okay? Larynx go up, larynx go down, okay? Light voice, heavy voice. Okay, we use the drills to help us do this, obviously. Don't just try to do this without just by mimicking, because that's just really hard to do. The exercises will help you, but when you're doing the exercises, I don't want you going like, cheese. Okay, I can feel something in my throat happening. Okay, hold that as I go into talking. No, just listen to the sound change, okay? Always, 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 entirely 100% focus on the sound. The only extent that you should be focused on your body is just by listening to it, okay? If it tells you it's hurting, something's going wrong. If you feel a muscle clenching up, something's going wrong. When you're doing this correctly, you actually barely feel it in the first place. So if you feel a very noticeable sensation, something's probably going wrong. That's the full extent that I want you engaging with your body. Just listening, not trying to control your body, okay? Control the sound, and the body moves as a result of that. Okay? Is that like super, super clear to everybody? Because I know it can be a little confusing at first, but it's quite important. It's similar to like how I just took this drink. I didn't go like, how would I even do this? Move shoulder muscles, clench fingers, using the tendons that are attached to my wrist muscle or palm muscle or whatever the anatomy is there. Tilt wrist, contract bicep to get to my lips. That's not how I drink. I just go pick up bottle, suck the thing, swallow. That's it. And you don't even go that hard. You just kind of go, oh, drink. Like, you don't control your body by thinking about every single micro muscle movement. You engage with your body on a much more macro sense. Those instructions get sent to another part of the brain, which then translates it into the micro muscle stuff. Consciously, you just do like macro movements. Even when babies learn to walk, they aren't going, okay, foot, do this. They're just kind of going, and then something happens. That's it. They're just kind of doing stuff. There isn't that level of like, babies don't know anatomy. There isn't that idea of like, this muscle contract, you know? I don't want you doing that with your voice. We don't control any of our body like that. Usually when people have issues, it's because they tried to control it like that. So focus on the sound, focus on the result, don't focus on the muscles, okay? The thing you're trying to change and the thing that you're bothered about is the sound of your voice, not the sensations you're experiencing as you talk. So make that what you change, okay? And your body will change to accommodate. Yeah. Hopefully that's reasonably clear. And then again, you can see in the common problems, tension, because a lot of people try to focus on their bodies here, and that almost always results in tension. People often get tension anyway, because this isn't a movement you often do. The only times you really tend to move your larynx is when you're swallowing or when you're yawning as well. So if I give a big yawn, you can hear my larynx has dropped right down. I sound much larger. This is that large sound with the lighter weight. If you're masculizing and you're just trying to you just can't get this to work, try the yawn voice just to get an idea of what this should sound like, and then go back to the drills. So if you're experiencing tension, any muscles that you just notice that are doing a thing, that's probably something going wrong. I remember when I was first learning this, the muscles in the back of my neck would clench up. If you are having something like that happening, then try doing the drill and doing the practice while engaging the muscle in something else. So for me, I was gently rolling my neck as I continue to do the cheese. Okay. So that and I could do the same back here, so that the muscles can't tense up because they're doing a thing. Okay. Some people get tongue tension, so kind of thick out your tongue. Also, can sound weird now because your tongue's thick out, but whatever. And kind of go through all that. If you're having jaw tightness, you can kind of do things like that, okay, and move your jaw around as you do it. Just engage the muscle in something else. If it's something where it's a bit more internal and you can't or don't really know how to engage the muscle in something else, then try just gaining some control over whatever it is that you're doing. So if you're feeling something significant, see if you can do something to feel it more and intensify that, and then try to do it so that it lays off. See if you notice the sound change that comes from that. That will help you identify what's going on, so you can shift more to that sound-based approach, and just get more, go less, go more, go less, and develop that control of it so that you can get rid of it, and then return to your drill. Sometimes it feels like you're choking on your larynx law. It's usually brief, but it feels weird. If you're having a choking sensation, then that's probably going to be something happening up here, in the either aura space or maybe the pharynx or something. It would depend on exactly what's going on, in terms of how exactly to change it. If you're having this kind of a sound coming through, that's that raspy quality, try to avoid that. You could try playing around with different words other than cheese. The main thing there would be change that core vowel, because that's the main thing that the filter's relevant for. It depends on exactly what it is that's happening, Magnus the Demon. Stick around to the end, and I'll help you specifically with that. Any questions about any of this? Or any other questions? We need to do a demo as well. So for people that are down to unmute, get yourselves unmuted, and we'll go through these. So if you're masculizing, go through little paw, big paw. If you're feminizing, go through big G's, little G's. And we'll just all do them together at the same time. Okay? Get yourselves unmuted, and then 3, 2, 1. Nice. Well done. Okay, remute again. That sounded great. Perfect. And remember to always have that phonation test at the end, where we're bringing sound back in. Phonation is when your vocal folds start doing their thing again. So that's when pitch comes in. That's when you've got your normal voice. So whispering, like this. Phonation is the process of you having a normal voice. So we have that E's coming in halfway through the cheese. If you're doing paw, then it would be paw halfway through. That's that phonation test. So make sure you have that, and then you take it into some talking to try and maintain it. It's not raspy, it's more like a physical object there. I would need to know a bit more about the sound, Magnus Demon, to be able to tell you exactly what's going on. Again, if you stick around to the end, we can go through your voice if you want to. Or if you don't want to be on the YouTube, then feel free to join my Discord and make a little clip, submit it in the clip feedback section, and I'll tell you exactly what's going on. Cheese, queso. What's next? True. Yeah, the next step is make some mac and cheese. Or, I don't know, play with your dog, I guess. Okie dokie. All right. Any last questions before we move on? All right, cool. So, fullness, all right? All right, so you've done your couple of weeks of softies, all right? You've then moved on to, if you're feminizing, you've moved on to vocal weight. If you're masculizing, you've moved on to vocal tract size. And you've both mastered those. You've gotten really good at them. So you've taken the next step. You've switched over. Feminizers are now doing the vocal tract size. Masculizers are now doing the vocal weight. And you get really good at that. Okay, so now you've got your two elements and you're based at both of them. All right, now we start putting them together. Okay, fullness is the concept that voices sound more quote unquote normal if your weight and your size are reasonably in sync with one another. Now they super don't have to be like in sync, just need to be roughly in that ballpark. Generally, I would say use fullness to diagnose issues rather than being something specifically to aim at. So if you find that your voice sounds cartoonish, sounds very, very odd, not like how people's voices typically sound, basically, if it sounds if your voice is sounding more like this, okay, then we have a very cartoonish sound, literally cartoon characters like Patrick or like Yogi Bear. I'm smarter than the average bear. We have this very cartoonish sound, okay? Or if your voice is sounding like this, where it again is a much more cartoonish sound, you probably don't really hear people talking like this. This is that, oh, sorry, I'm going to keep hitting the mic. This is that very, very buzzy, small sound. It's an overfull kind of a sound. You might be thinking cartoon characters like cartoon gnomes sometimes sound like this. Cartoon like elves, kind of nerdy voices sound like this sometimes. Again, it doesn't sound like most people's voice. So if you find yourself sounding cartoonish, then one of these two things are out of balance with one another. Either your weight needs to change or your size. And again, they don't have to be perfectly in sync. I don't need that perfect like line through that graph where like, what would it be? X equals minus Y? No, Y equals minus X, or vice versa, whether you're feminizing or masculizing. We don't need that perfect through line. We just need to be like in that quadrant, you know? So if you're kind of sounding a little bit more hollow while also sounding reasonably, like, examples of voices are going to be easier. Celine de Silva, she has a more hollow but still femme sounding voice. What are some overfull voices? I find Hispanic voices often just culturally have a bit more of a closer to overfull but would still sound femme voices for the feminine speakers. Places like literally Spain or Brazil, countries like that, Portugal. Not in every femme voice, but I see it more commonly there. I'm trying to think of variations on mask voices that are either more hollow or more overfull, and nothing's coming to mind, but that's probably because I'm, trans woman, have not looked into as many masculine voices. The point is they are absolutely a thing, and you do not need to be perfectly matching this one-to-one. So really don't obsess over fullness. I see some people do that sometimes. Do not obsess over, which quadrant am I in? Just, does your voice sound really weird? No? Then it's fine. Yeah. Cool. Any questions about fullness? It can be a cool thing for practicing as well, especially if you're somebody that's going for like just mastery of voice. So any voice acting people amongst you, or anyone that's looking to become a teacher one day, anyone that, or like gender fluid people tend to want like a more of a mastery of voice. Try just playing with this graph. Like go from a feminine sound over to a overfull kind of a sound. Go from there over to a masculine kind of a sound. Go from there over to like a hollow kind of a sound, and then from there back up to femme full. And just like play around with this graph and use it as like a training tool. It really encourages you to have really good control over stuff. So yeah. I'm going to run out of water, and that's going to be really awkward. I see typing. I will wait for the typing to become a message, and then I can answer it. I don't think I've got anything off the top of my head that I could add to that. Is there a link with all graphics/slides? That's a really good point. I know I have put ones in places before. I do not recall where. I feel like there is one somewhere in Trans Network. Remind me afterwards, or even if I don't get to it tonight, remind me tomorrow, and I will pop one somewhere. And maybe I'll make a command or something to grab it. The answer is yes, but I wouldn't be able to grab it right now. Or I might try to do it during the end section, because I can grab that while I'm giving people feedback. Yeah, remind me of that, Skylar, later in the workshop, and I'll try to grab that for you. We're not far off it now, so. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. So, you've mastered all of the gendered components of voice, and you now can produce a feminine or a masculine voice. You change it to the one you want, okay? Now let's make it your own, okay? Because there's not just a masc voice. There's not just a femme voice. There's like a bazillion, okay, of each. So, there's literally, I guess, 5 billion of each, or whatever our population is now. So, customization. There's all sorts of different factors that can be in a voice that aren't gendered, that you can just kind of have or not have, depending on your interests. So, vocal fry. This is quite a popular one. It seems to have come into fashion recently. Fry is just having some of this crackliness in your voice. If you go for, if you think of characters like Raven in Teen Titan, Raven has this kind of a voice where she has that vocal fry, and she's just permanently using vocal fry. Now, most people don't tend to be permanently using it, although you totally could if you wanted to. I've heard people that do, and they sound entirely normal in that. I would say avoid using vocal fry while learning weight stuff, just so you don't muddle the two up, and then bring it back in afterwards if you want to. Yeah, it's quite common in people's downwards inflections. After just having going over fry, the fry leaves all my voice, but as we continue through and my voice resets a little bit, you'll hear me using fry actually pretty commonly. I just did it there and there again. You can hear, you get the point. I actually use fry quite a lot, and if you've been paying attention to this workshop, you'll have noticed that I actually use fry quite a lot. It dips a little bit when I'm presenting, but it's something that I use pretty commonly, especially if you go to any of the VODs that go on to quite late. So like we had one 6-hour workshop that went to like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something. It was ridiculous, and I would have been using a lot more vocal fry there because I was more tired. And yeah, so yeah, I typically use it on my downwards inflections. You use it just however you like to. Some people like fry. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, get rid of it. World pop is 8 billion. Okay, so 4 billion of each. I guess tiny bit higher for femme because women live longer, I guess. Cool. Okay, pitch. Going back all the way to the beginning where I mentioned that pitch isn't particularly gendered. It super isn't. If you want to have a higher pitched masculine voice, if you want to have a higher pitched masculine voice, it's still going to sound like a masculine voice. It's just going to sound higher pitched. That's it. If you want a higher pitched masculine voice, absolutely go for a higher pitched masculine voice. Or if you want a lower pitched feminine voice, I have quite a low pitched feminine voice, so I can't actually get much lower. If you want a lower pitched feminine voice, go for it. Pitch just has so little impact on the vocal gendering, again, because it's such a dynamic and changing thing. Like you can hear in my voice, my pitch is all over the place, like da 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 da. It moves up and down, and that happens in everybody's pitch. Nobody kind of talks like this where they're completely monotonous. People's pitch move around all the time. So yeah, if you want a higher pitch, go for a higher pitch. If you want a lower pitch, go for a lower pitch. Yeah, just do what you want with it. It really, like, I can't stress enough how little of a factor it is. Going back to those that have had speech therapists, you may have found them spending a lot of time on pitch. It's very frustrating, and I really want to like drill into you that pitch just is so unimportant. It just doesn't matter at all. According to them, my voice would sound like a dude's voice right now, which hopefully it does not, because again, pitch doesn't matter at all. I'm sure you'll hear many people actually quite like the deep femme voice. Usually they're just meaning lower pitch. A lot of people actually really like lower pitch feminine voices. Yeah, they had you doing a lot of pitch. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's a thing. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, a lot of coaches will just spend way too much time, especially SLPs, therapists will spend so much time on pitch, and it's completely pointless. Skylar, I'm going to save your question for the next bit, if that's okay, because it'll be more relevant there. Yeah, so pitch, put it wherever you want, to like drill this point in, because it gets or just told wrongly, I guess, so often. My pitch right now is my pitch right now and is not changing at all as I then go into this. I still have the same pitch as I'm now using what is hopefully a more masculine voice. And yeah, my pitch isn't changing as I then move back into this. I literally am continuing the exact same pitch pattern. Like nothing is changing whatsoever as I'm going between masculine and feminine right now. Pitch is so not relevant. So if you want a high pitch, just go for a high pitch. If you want a low pitch, go for a low pitch. It doesn't matter. Do what you want. Okay, not to labour that point. Breathiness, that's another one you can change. By the way, this list is not an exhaustive list. There's a billion different things that make up your voice. These are just the popular ones that I get asked about a lot. Breathiness, we went over it briefly earlier. Breathiness is just increasing the amount of breath in your voice. I'm doing it super dramatically right now, so you can clearly hear it. Most people use it in a little bit more of a subtle way, so you just have this amount of breathiness here. Again, you play around with it, figure out how much breathiness you like or dislike. And yeah, if you want some breathiness in your voice, if you want it sounding a bit more like this, then go for it. Use a little bit of breathiness. Some people like it, some people don't. I tend to not use that much breathiness in my voice normally, but it's up to you. Entirely optional feature. Yeah, for those that are after the sultry voice, because that is a commonly requested thing, it's a combination of fry, pitch, and breathiness. The fry being sparingly used. For vocal customization, how do you avoid the trans voice as a trans mask? What quality or qualities should I modulate and how? Okay, so the first thing to identify there is no such thing as the trans voice. Okay? You don't sound like you have a trans voice. This is in almost every case that I've analyzed, it has been people having brainworms. Usually because they are users of VRC, and over at VRC, you, for some reason, have a lot of people that really like to transvestigate and accuse random people of being trans, and that fucks with people's brains. I don't know why this is a VRC thing in particular, but it very clearly seems to be. But yeah, there is no such thing as a trans voice. Now, what you might have is, if we go back to fullness, you might have an issue with fullness where something is one of these things, your weight and your size don't sound like they are in proportion. That might sound odd. Nobody's going to hear it as a trans voice because nobody's going to even know that. Most people don't even know that you can change the gender presentation of your voice, so nobody's clicking at this as trans voice. But they might think that your voice sounds weird. In that instance, you will also think it sounds weird and cartoonish. And again, it will be sounding more like this, or like in this direction, or it'll be sounding more in this direction, where you have that issue with fullness. Outside of that, there is no trans voice. There are no like customizational things that make your voice sound trans. That's not a thing that exists. The only other thing I've heard is like maybe you could say that some people like take it to the extreme where we go like hyperfem or hypermask, you could say sound kind of trans voice. But like even there, I would say, well, no, because also lots of cis people sound like that. Nobody's going to think it's a trans thing. It's just a particular kind of voice that's more on the extreme end that also happens in cis people. So like, yeah. An example of like an extreme sounding voice would be like Ziana from Trans Voice Lessons. You've all heard Z. If you think her voice sounds like a trans voice, then I guess maybe you're thinking the extreme ends sound like that. If not, then that kind of proves my point. Yeah, if there's like a buzzies quality, then maybe we'd be looking at that fullness thing. If you're looking for reducing that buzziness or increasing that buzziness, then we have an issue with fullness. Because again, that buzzy quality is weight, remember? Cool. If there's like a specific sound, it sounds like Moki Bandit, if there's a specific sound you're worried about, send a clip through. We'll have a little listen to, and I'll just tell you what I'm hearing in that clip. Okay, so before we go into that bit, I haven't even finished my customization stuff. I can't be finishing the workshop yet. Okay, so we've done breathiness. There's also twang. Twang is very importantly not the same thing as what do they call it? Southern twang in America. That's just having a southern accent. Completely different things that just happen to have ended up with the same name, but they're nothing to do with one another. Okay, twang kind of sounds like this. You can hear there's a sort of like ringing to my voice. There's this much louder quality to it. It kind of sounds a bit brassy. You could kind of think of it as sounding buzzier, but in a very different way to a heavyweight. Again, a heavyweight would be sounding like this with a raised larynx or a smaller size. A twangy voice sounds like this. So you can see there's like a very, very different quality. Yeah, twang is something you can have if you want it. Some people like it, some people don't. If you go for it being in somebody's actual voice, so see, I'm doing it very dramatically so that you can hear it clearly. But in somebody's actual voices, it's being used. If you think of like, I always get this muddled up, and then somebody told me one week, and then I forgot. It's either Kirsten Stewart or Kristen Stewart. I do not know which way around the I and the R are. She voices Mabel in Gravity Falls. She is that person in the MCU, Darcy. She plays someone in Broke Girls, apparently, or Two Broke Girls, or whatever that show is called. She's also a comedian. You might know her in one of those things. MCU, I assume everybody's seen at some point. So yeah, her voice has a lot of twang in it, so you can use that as, yeah, Darcy's in Gravity Falls. Yeah, she voices Mabel. Yeah. Yeah, that's her. So she has twang in her voice. That's what it sounds like in a more typical voice, or being used more typically in a voice. Yeah, so if you like her voice, maybe you like twang. Lastly, accent. Obviously, not a gendered thing. It doesn't make you sound more feminine if you sound American. It doesn't make you sound more masculine if you sound Russian. It just makes you sound Russian or American. This sounds obvious, but I see this being taught a lot of times as like the Cali girl voice being the feminine voice. It's like, no, only if you live in Seattle or California or West Coast America. Yeah, like, I must make this point very clear. There is a thing of accents having like a slight male version and femme version. However, the amount that this is different changes from country to country. Some not having any accent change, or from accent to accent, I should say. Some not having any distinction. Some having quite a lot of distinction. And the things that are different will be different for each thing, because it's an entirely cultural thing. Just like the rest of how accents are, it's fully cultural. I do see some voice teachers teaching the what are just aspects of a Cali girl voice as like fundamentally feminine features, things to do with like your inflection or your pitch patterns, things like that being like fundamental to femme or masc, and they're not. They're fundamental to an accent. and usually it's the West Coast accent that people are being taught, like the American West Coast. It's just relevant to the American West Coast. So if you're British, it ain't relevant to you. If you're European, it ain't. If you're Asian, it ain't relevant to you. It's just West Coast America, and to some extent the rest of America, as like they've shared culture, but like especially so to West Coast America. So in terms of the Cali girl thing, if you're feminizing, you do not need to go Cali girl. It is not necessary. It shouldn't even be happening in the first place. That's not necessary. If you want to go Cali girl, go for it. But you don't need to. So yeah. Cool. In terms of like gender divides in accents, again, many don't have them at all. Like in Britain, we don't seem to have that. Or if we do, it's very minimal. Most people won't even hear it, which is why most of you probably don't even know about it. There are some countries where it's a bit more extreme, like Japan. It is a more obvious thing. If you are Japanese, then this will be something to think about. Generally, listen to the people around you, listen to a variety of men's voices, listen to a variety of feminine voices, and look for things that are in common in each, that aren't in common with one another, in terms of a pitch pattern, in terms of a prosody, the inflection, the like amount that they move around the things that already move around, like volume, pitch, like, I don't know, time spent on vowels versus consonants, whatever. Just for things that you notice. And again, you'll be we are in like the late stage here. You'll be better at noticing these things at that stage. Yeah. Overall, you don't need to worry about this accent thing unless you want to change your accent. Yeah. Any questions about any of that customization stuff? And don't worry, Skylar, I have kept your question as a saved question. Boo, 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 boo. I see no questions. I do see some typing though, so I'll wait for that. Also, wow, we have a really good turnout today. So just thank you everybody for being here. I should be plugging things. I always forget to do this. The stuff that's useful to me, I guess. If you are enjoying this workshop, I do these every single week at the exact same time. So that's 7 p.m. BST. If you're in Trans Voice, we have an event. If you're in Trans Network, there's an event. If you're in Rainbow Library, there's an event. You can use that event to see the time in your localized time zone or whatever. Yeah. Best place for these is in one of those Discords. Obviously, I'm going to encourage you to be in Trans Network, my Discord server. Within the server, we have a whole bunch of features. You have my lovely self. We've got the clip feedback channel, which is going to be one of your main useful ones, where you can submit a clip of your voice and I can give you some feedback. I can give you some information on it. You can ask questions in all of the voice channels or in all the voice text channels, if you get what I mean. You can ask, we just have a cool community where you can hang out. We do also have hired a makeup artist. So we have makeup workshops now. They happen each month, and you can ask them questions about stuff. Yeah, the Discord's a cool place to be. I recommend joining my server. Obviously, I would. And if you're looking for the link, click on whichever account I'm using to broadcast to you right now. And within their little bio is a link. Will the different voice workshops go over various exercises based on different amounts of control over voice. So all the workshops go over the same thing. It's this PowerPoint that I go through, but they all tend to be a little bit different because I just explain things in different ways each time, so it can help people just understand things a bit more fully. And again, we have that section at the end where I go over people's voices and give one-on-one feedback, which obviously different audiences, it changes every time. Yeah. The makeup workshops are like a specific thing each time, and our makeup artist Beans just takes requests with regards to that. I don't remember what our next one is. I'd have to check. Last one was eye makeup. That's like eyeliner, false eyelashes, mascara, all that stuff. And yeah, I hired a makeup artist. That is done by the next thing to plug, the Kofi. So if you have learned a lot today, these workshops and the makeup workshops and all of that is funded by the people that support over at Kofi. So huge, massive thank you to those people. We'll go over those people in a bit. Yeah, if you want to support what we do here, then check out the Kofi, ko-fi.com/transnetwork. Super appreciate the heck out of those people. And we do have TTS things, so if you wanted to leave a message, then you can absolutely do that, and it will read out on stream. And the last thing is we are streaming to YouTube right now. You can check out YouTube, youtube.com/@trans_network. Again, it's a cool place to be. I do streams. Every time I do a public lesson, I do a stream afterwards. So definitely check out the stream. And that's like only for the YouTube. So definitely check out the YouTube for that stuff. And all of these VODs, including today's VOD, will be kept on the YouTube. If you go into the live section, you can rewatch anything you need to rewatch. So yeah, that can be super useful too. Okay, that gave you lots of time to ask questions. With a pitch, you feel like when you try to lower your pitch, it gets really hard to stop your larynx from going down along with it. Yeah, so pitch, as I was saying earlier, really common to muddle up pitch with size or with larynx height or whatever you want to call it. You just got to work on separating those two things. So don't worry about customization until you have your larynx height or your size or your resonance, whatever you want to call it. Wait until that's nailed, okay? And you want it specifically to be nailed in isolation, so you can move it without anything else moving. All right. Again, if I go, cheese, they have the same pitch. Okay. This is not a pitch thing we're changing. This is a size thing. All right. And the same goes. Pitch is a pitch thing, not a size thing. So you just need to unmuddle those two, okay? Keep practicing. Try practicing entering both at the same pitch. You can also practice throwing a little tune at the end of your movement, at the end of the phonation test, to practice moving your pitch around without your size changing. Yeah, it's just going to be practice. Yeah, you can use your finger to kind of feel what's happening, to see what's happening. I would avoid using your finger to try to help you gain control though, because again, that's you focusing on using your body to control it. Focus on the sound, okay? If you hear it starting to go like this, that's when you know something's gone wrong. You need to change your size again, okay? And don't do it like I did there. Instead, if your size is starting to drop a bit, cheese, then you try to re-drill again. Yeah. Always re-drill whenever you notice something going wrong. Cool. I see more questions being typed out. I'll wait for people to finish typing those questions. I definitely need more water. I guess I'll live. In isolation, it's fine. Just in actual speech, it becomes an issue to focus on it. Yeah, so just, you need to practice. Just keep on practicing. It's very normal for people to have a drop in any change that they're making when they go into speech. So you just need to practice that. Yeah. I mean, to make this, I should talk about time spans a little bit. To make this super clear, it takes a long time to feminize or masculize or androgynize your voice. This is a really difficult task. There's a reason you don't hear everybody doing it. There's a reason that a lot of people don't even know about it. It's quite a difficult thing to do. The voice you're hearing right now took me about, it was about 6 months learning these skills. A couple of months kind of tweaking and customizing and making it how I wanted it to sound. Excuse me. And then another couple of months for just habituating it and making it my default. So it takes a long ass time. Don't think of this as like a marathon or a sprint. It's the usual. Don't think of it as a sprint. Think of it as a marathon. There you go. Yeah, take your time with this. Don't expect results within a week or within a month or whatever. Just, it takes as long as it takes. For some people, it can take a couple of years. For some people, 6 months is quite quick. Usually I find people are around the 9-month mark for developing the skill, and a month or two of like making it how they want it to be. So like, yeah, 3/4 a year I think is a reasonable goal, or reasonable estimation. Don't even have a goal for the time, just it takes as long as it takes, because you'd rather get there than not get there, you know. I've heard some people say it helps to have a specific voice in mind before you start vocal training. Do you find this to be the case? Even if it's not necessary, have you found any good ways to look for example feminine or masculine voices? So to start off with, you don't need something specific, but it will help you in the long run. Like eventually get a specific idea of what you want, because again, there is no such thing as a femme voice or a masc voice. So if you're just pursuing masc or femme, you'll never reach it because it doesn't exist. There is no masc voice or femme voice. There are masc voices and femme voices, but it's a category. You can't make your voice into the category. You have to be one of the category. So yeah, definitely try to aim for a specific voice. You can definitely start training without knowing where you're going to go with it, and sort of develop your goal as you go through, but you do eventually want to have that goal. I see a lot of people developing a lot of brainworms because they don't have a goal. Definitely have a goal. It gives you something to actually compare your voice to, instead of this just imaginary the femme voice, or the masc voice, or the androgynous voice. Androgynous voices, by the way, it can be a bit harder to develop your goal, and it can be something that you just need to explore around and find, because there's just less to compare to.
Skylar donated £10. Thank you so much for the workshops and the content you're creating. I'm really glad to see us trans people support each other. Keep it going.
Yo, holy shit, Skylar, thank you so much. That's really kind of you. Thank you so much. I'm happy creating this content. I'm super happy that it's able to help people. So yeah, thank you so much. That's unbelievably kind of you. Thank you. God damn, that's really kind of you. Thank you. The main roadblock, this is Getaflix. The main roadblock you've run into is keeping up your voice for prolonged periods. So you always end up returning to your resting voice in social situations due to the strain. Okay. You strongly considered scheduling VFS to fix this. You've been training it for almost a decade, and never made any real progress in that respect. You're not expecting VFS to magically fix your voice, but is there any way it could hinder your voice training by getting it too early? So let's talk about VFS for a minute. First of all, there isn't a vocal feminization surgery. There are a number of different surgeries. I don't know them all in depth, but basically there is one that will affect pitch, and there is one that will affect weight. There is not one that will affect size, and size is a biggie. So first of all, no surgery will work without being accompanied by training. You can't just surgically feminize your voice. There is always going to be some voice training involved. Secondly, you can just do it, and that's fine. There's no like it being too early or something, like that's not a thing. You can get it whenever you want to get it, and that's a conversation between you and your surgeon. There are complications that can arise, as with any surgery. That happens with any surgery. All of the results that one can get from VFS, though, you can get from voice training. If you're having issues of, you said you run into the issue when it's for prolonged periods, you're experiencing some strain. So I would want to listen to what's actually happening. If there's some strain coming in, that's probably something you can solve behaviorally. You're doing something that's causing that strain. So I'd say first thing, speak to a vocal coach like myself. There's probably something behaviorally going on that we can do about that. Unless you have like like an actual issue in your anatomy, which you would have some kind of diagnosis for. Certainly, if you've been voice training for a decade, then you're old enough that this would have become apparent by now. If you have like a swallowing issue, or if you have breathing issues, or if you have any kind of diagnosis to do with like a speech pathology or anything along your vocal tract, yeah, that could be more of a thing where you can't do things through training. This isn't to say don't get VFS, by the way. That's a decision for you to make. I just want to make it clear that whatever's happening can be dealt with via training, if that's the path that you would prefer. And I would obviously encourage, like, try that path first, because it leaves more options open. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it pops on stream. I did say TTS is on. Don't be embarrassed though. You're freaking top G. You've been at this for 9 months and almost have a femme voice you're satisfied with. Hells yeah, Sikram. Cool. I think that's gotten through all the questions. So, all right. Huge special thanks to the Ko-fi supporters I mentioned earlier. Huge thank you to Skylar just a moment ago. So we have our tier 1 supporters, these are all our regular monthly supporters. So huge special thanks to Misty, Mihuggy, Himori, and Grave Rod Maria. These people support every single month. Huge thank you to them. Again, the people on this list, as well as Skylar, and a few others, these people are the reason you have this workshop right now, why you have makeup workshops, why we have the free stuff that I'm able to provide, and why like lessons are quite cheap over in Trans Network, because people support us, and it's pretty awesome. We also have our tier 2 supporters, Lanmis and Ona. Huge thank you to those people. And finally, the absolute GOAT, our tier 3 supporter, Beth. You'll sometimes see her in a variety of different servers. If you see her, give her a pat on the back, give her a thank you, because Beth is absolutely goated. Yeah, it's just huge thank you to those Ko-fi supporters. If you'd like to be one of those supporters, just like Scarlett did earlier, you can head to ko-fi.com/trans_, no, not underscore, just /trans network. It's below me. And yeah, you can be a part of this list, and you can be helping more trans people get services they need. Or just, heck, cis people that want to learn to voice act or do a cool D&D voice. Yeah, it's some cool shit. So yeah, thank you to those Ko-fi supporters. Also, an extra special thanks to Crammed Voice Lessons over at Singuistics. I've been teaching for a while, and I started off doing like free teaching while I was like developing experience and developing as a coach. And during that, Charles from Singuistics offered me free training as a teacher. So huge thank you for him, like the quality that we bring to these workshops now, the quality that I bring to my teaching. Part of that.
New Ko-fi subscription
God.
from Leah.
Yo, Leah, thank you so fucking much. Holy shit. You know what? Let's boo. You can have your name on the list right the fuck now. Boom. I didn't see what tier that was though. It doesn't tell me the tier. You might get away with being embarrassed, not being embarrassed. No, I can. Oh my gosh. Leah. Holy shit. Let's get you on this list. Yo. Tier 2 supporter. Holy shit. Just started doing it right now. Yo, huge thank you to Leah, who is now also on that list. You absolute goat. Thank you so much. Heroes in the chat right now. Over at Ko-fi. Thank you so much. Yeah, huge thank you to Charles, because he trained me as a teacher for free, and that's just a really good thing to do. So yeah, I recommend him as well. There's a lot of cool free resources over in Singuistics. They do twice a week. They do a trans voice practice lounge, really good practice environment. They use some slightly different terms that you might be familiar with. So they use more like quotient and larynx height. I've gone over what those are, so you'll know what's going on. Their jaws are slightly different to mine, but they're pretty close. Like they use big dog, little dog, and they cut away this first half of the weight exercise. It's pretty the same. You'll recognize it, don't worry. Yeah, check them out. They do some cool stuff. They also have a lot more to do with singing and voice acting if you're interested in those things. So yeah, I just recommend Linguistics, and thank you, Charles. It's pretty cool. Fab. Okay, all right, let's go to a bit you've all been waiting for. Let me head over to this screen right now. Bunch of petals, which are very laggy right now because my computer's really struggling. Wow, my computer's really struggling. And the chat's not working. Why is the YouTube chat not working? Hold the phone. Hello? YouTube chat. Where are you?
New Ko-fi
Oh
subscription
my
from
fucking God.
Ria.
Holy shit, Ria. Thank you. Okay, I'm adding you to the list. Even though... Oh my God. Wait a minute. Okay, no, we are moving back. What the fuck? Also, my makeup looks horrendous because I'm so fucking sweaty right now. It is so hot over here. Holy shit. Ria. No, I need to not be in the slideshow mode. I need to be back out here. Come on, computer. There you go. Holy shit. Ria. With a tier 3 subscription. Holy fuck, that's so insane. Thank you so much. Can we get like a huge clap for Ria? Heck, we could just get a whole bunch of claps for Ria, Leah, and Skylar. Like, holy fuck. You guys are fucking amazing. Thank you so fucking much. That money will go into helping more people. Hell's fucking yeah. Okay, let me get us back over to that just chatting. You guys are fucking nuts. And thank you for being nuts. The YouTube chat is broken. I don't know why it's broken. I'm sorry it's broken. In fact, I might be able to really quickly get it back. But I also might not be able to right now. Can I get you back? Browser source. Add existing. Yeah. New. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, there's the Kofi Go. Fucking insane. Okay. Obviously, a little scuffed right now, but it'll do for right now. And I'll get this fixed properly for next workshop. Okie dokie. Alright, so for the people that were wanting help with their voice specifically, now I'm going to answer, I think it was Skylar's question earlier. Let's leave it like this. Okay, so we had that question from Skylar earlier, where you... Let me find a question. It's relevant to what we were just talking about a moment ago. How did you start applying your practical voice day to day? You're really strong with this. Okay, so first of all, in your practice, when you do practice, the drill's just for setup, okay? For all of our drills, for everything we do, it's just for setup. The next stage, the next stage is to take that setup into some talking, all right? Now, I don't want you reading stuff, okay? I know we all love a Rainbow Passage, but I don't want you reading for Rainbow Passage. I don't want you to be going heat from fire a whole bunch of times. Again, we all love a good heat from fire, but it's not what we're going for right now. I just want you talking, okay? Talk about your day, talk about your favorite video game, talk about just anything that you can talk about for like a minute or two, okay? And every time you feel your voice start to revert, or whatever you're working on at that moment, when you feel that start to drop off, re-drill, and then carry with what you were saying. Okay, keep doing that, keep practicing that. That'll help you get things consistent. And make sure you're recording too. That way you can listen back and see if you missed any of those drops where you should have re-drilled. That'll help train your ear as well. Also, when you go into actually using your voice full time, your voice default, that's going to be a whole other thing. When you start using your voice full time, you'll suddenly be like, holy shit, I don't know how to do anything in voice. I do my voice, everything's gone, everything's forgotten, I can't do this. That will pass. Essentially what's going on is your brain learns by making these little connections. And one of the connections we've learned as we're training is sort of training mode. Right now I'm doing training, and therefore things have voice. You can also have right now, if you're usually practicing in front of your computer, now I'm computer, I'm doing training mode, these voice things happen. I'm in my car, I'm in training mode, these things happen. Whatever location, these things happen. And you need to teach your brain that it's not a training mode thing, it's not these locations thing, it's just a talking thing. Okay? It just takes time. Especially the first couple of weeks of using your voice full time, 100%, It's going to be fucking rough. Like, I can't, it's going to be rough, I'm afraid. There's nothing around it. Power through, it's going to get easier. The more you just use your voice, the more you find that you gain back control again, and it starts moving towards your default. It's just your default. It'll be where it sits normally. It'll be where you always go to. If you're practicing a new thing voice, it'll never miss up. You go to what's now your default. So this voice that you're hearing now is what I use all the time. I think in this voice, streaming this voice, yeah, if I mess up my mask voice, I end up moving more to this voice, even my original voice before. So yeah, it's just push through. It's a bit different for everybody. For me, it took about 2 months of pushing through for everything to be back to normal, and for my voice to default. For you, might vary. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Does that answer your question? Oh, Leah, got to shoot off, but this has been super helpful. You feel devastated that you spent so much money on your therapist. First, you feel First time you feel understood and come away with clear goals. That hasn't made sense. Definitely visit for COVID. Yo, Leah, thank you so fucking much. And I'm glad this helped you. I'm really glad it helped. It sucks that an actual speech therapist, which was probably really expensive, didn't teach you things. That is really disappointing, but I'm glad that this has been helping you. How hard is it over here? Fucking hard as fuck. Okay, I'm going to catch up on these chats, and then anybody that is wanting some one-on-one help on their voice, that will be your opportunity. Or now it's going to be your opportunity. So let me just catch up on chats, and then, yeah, we'll start taking some volunteers. You're putting off dinner for this because it might be too hot to accept. Yo, you fucking beast. You gotta help for coming. How do I say your name? Valor, please. Thank you for coming. Do I know anyone with multiple default voices? And if so, how do we maintain them? I don't think I've come across someone with multiple voices. The only people I have across, the only person that has ever described multiple voices is like a system. So I think D is only with a diagnosed thing, or if it's like disorderly. But somebody who identifies as a system. I don't know much about because I am not. It's not something that I know about. I'm just a voice coach. But described each of their what do you call the different people within a system? I simply tried to get up on my terminology for this. The different people with investment, I guess, headmates, I think is what is the term usually used. Describe headmates as having different default voices. Alters, yeah, as having different default voices. So in that case, possibly. Outside of that one person, I had someone describe themselves having multiple default voices. So to fully answer your question, Sikram, I don't know, possibly. It certainly, I do like getting. Although default implies the voice you always go back to. Maybe that's something that would consistently change. So yeah, maybe I would say if you want to try just inconsistently and see what happens. Who knows? You might be able to use the same effect as trying to associate with voices as default for particular context. Yes, that's definitely a thing. And that's something you have to like make be a thing. That's already a thing. You will definitely talk differently in front of your parents, as you would your partner, as you would your friendship group, as you would in professional spaces. My voice right now, it has the same core elements, but certainly my speech pattern stuff is very different right now to how I'll talk. My pitch moves in different ways. I use my pitch differently. All of those sort of customizations, a lot. I mean, like teach mode, or even teacher mode to presenting mode. There is some difference in that. So yeah, certainly on those levels, that would. And I imagine these things could be. You could probably develop voices for different contexts. It would be more significant. I just haven't met any yet. I imagine that would happen. In fact, actually, no. Oh, sorry. There was a time I had two voices, if we're talking about that. So I was using my femme voice at home, and it would be my default. And I was using my mask at in my life, and when I then came out, like, my mask voice was my default in those environments. And I struggled to use my femme voice. I had to like relearn stuff as I was doing that. So and I had previously gone through the same process and no longer needed to when I was at home. So practicing. But I would still have always been thinking in my voice at that stage. And I would actually, I think I was always thinking in my mask voice at that stage, even when I was at home. And I was certainly dreaming in my mask voice. So to that extent, I felt a default. Yeah. You in fact exact same spot with the mask voice outside of friends. Yeah, very common. Around your wife, you let your guard down and you speak in your normal voice, and it's hard habit to break. Yeah, it's just you just got to do it, I suppose, if that's the change you're wanting to make. Tell your wife it's something you want to do to bully you every time you don't use it. She can help support you in that. Whenever I would start dropping my voice, when I would forget to use my fem voice and start using my voice because I just forgotten to do it, they would be like, "Hey, whoa, stop that fem voice," because support difference and stuff. Feel like it's a cringe around your using your fem. Yeah, you just got to have it, that'll go away. V8, that's fucking sick. Something. That's okay, looking for the last things in chat, but I haven't caught on. Okie dokie. Alright. Let's give people some help. If you're looking for some help with a voice, unmute up and let me know. Remember that we are streaming right now, so you will hear you. If you're okay with that, then unmute your mic, and I would be happy to help you with your voice right now. Just have speak gets to go next, so we'll go through it.
I don't necessarily have a goal range yet.
Somebody said we'll say that person gets to go first.
Friend. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi.
Friend.
Friend? Okay.
Yeah. I don't necessarily have a goal in mind yet. It's more just like trying to have a that is better and more positive and doesn't clash with the clothes I wear, how I look.
Yeah.
And my goal is to push back features.
Oh yeah, sorry, hang on. Sorry, I forgot about that. Let me.
I can't sound like that, but I do. Shit.
Hang on. Okay, for people that are in Discords right now, you're about to not be able to hear Friend. So, if you would like to be able to hear Friend communicating with her, you don't want to just hear this conversation, head to the YouTube so you'll be able to hear both of us. Currently haven't figured out a way so that the sound can go to everybody without also echoing back. Sorry, I'm going to keep doing that. So, if you want to hear Friend, YouTube.com/@trans_network, that'll be us. Okay, Friend, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely like I like people and they inspire me, much like they've inspired me as far as fashion goes. But it's not like I want to steal their voice. Like I don't steal their fashion. I'm just trying to find one that suits me and maybe gets me called man and guy less.
Yeah. So if you look, okay. What I'm saying is basically you don't have a specific goal. You just want it to sound more femme. Am I getting it there?
Yeah, I don't know, just exploring different ways to use my voice. Femme is definitely like leaning, but it's not as like it's more about having a voice that's copacetic and doesn't surprise people when it comes out my head.
I see. Okay, well, it sounds like that is actually a more personalized thing then that you're going to have to find for exploration. So my suggestion there would be just play with size, get a good level of control, essentially gain the skill of fully feminizing. Because along the way, you're basically just learning each of those components in full, then play with them and explore and figure out what actual sound you're wanting. Yeah, I think that would be my best advice for that. How does that sound?
Sounds very good. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Fab. Okay, one down. All right. Somebody else was trying to go in at the same time there. I didn't see who it was though. So if they want to,
Hi.
Hi.
That was me. Yeah, I don't know, I was the one just like having trouble with my voice like over like a really long period. And I don't know, I'm just stumped really, I feel like I've hit a plateau, I guess. I don't know what I was gonna say, but
So let's first talk about goals. Do you have a rough idea of where you're wanting to be?
The goal is really just not being misgendered.
Okay, my first advice to you is that's not a goal. We need something specific because you don't have anything to compare to with not being misgendered. You need something a bit more, something you can actually be like, oh, when I listen to this example voice that is more, I don't mean you need to copy her voice and copy her voice. Like you can be selection of voices with different components, but you have something to compare to, so you can actually like what you're changing off. And even if it's just a voice you can like produce in your mind that like, oh, something like that, gives you something to compare to, so actually know where to go. Secondly, try to, when you're developing goals like these, we want specific things. So I like the size in this voice. This is a nice small sounding voice, or this is a more hollow sounding voice, or whatever. The size is a factor. For weight is a factor. Get that specificity. That tells you what to do. It gives you something specific and actionable. Okay. Lastly, how's your control size and weight, in your opinion?
It's not good. Like I'm doing it now, like I'm actively trying now, but it is like flexing a muscle and
Okay.
like I can do it like keep up this voice. Like I don't think this voice is very good, honestly. Like to make it into this voice, but at least thing I can do. That's when I'm in like
Flexing a muscle. Can you tell me more about that?
well, that's what it is. It's this is my resting voice. It's like whenever I get like whenever like a lot of people like ask me to repeat myself because they can't understand me when I'm speaking like this,
Okay.
and at least they say they understand me. So then like keep doing it again and again, and I just go back to my default voice. And
So when you say is that like, do you mean like turning on? Is there actually a flexing muscle? Do you feel a muscle moving?
no, metaphorical is what I meant. Like
Yeah. No,
turning on,
to check
like I kind of like yeah. Like this might be this might be a silly comparison, but I kind of feel like Clayface. Clayface has his like true form, and it's like he has to put effort to like like take on his own face, and
yeah, sure.
I don't know that's probably shameful, but
No, I get it. Yeah.
like,
Just a bit laggy. I'm not sure I'm able to now, but thank you for letting me know. I'll see if I can do something about it later. My CPU is probably just struggling right now. Okay, let's just go. Let's just start off with size then, because that's the most common thing people are struggling with, because it's the hardest thing. It's the most dramatic size. So, can you give me a big cheese, little cheese? I will just go through it. So remember that's the
yeah, cheese.
First, can you go to voice and video? Once you're there, you want to change your input sensitivity, set it to manual, and drag it all the way to the left, say minus 100 decibels. Just let you catch up before I go to the next.
That in Discord?
Yes, sorry, yes. You'll pop your user settings. It's next to the you might have yeah, there. Voice and video. Then the first thing there is going to be input sensitivity.
Yeah.
Counting feedback on their voice, by the way. It's already as I'm describing here. The input sensitivity, it all the way to the left. Then after that, underneath, there's going to be your noise suppression, and it's turning off. Just let you catch up.
Sorry, I'm really bad with this. Noise suppression. Okay, great.
Okay, and then underneath that is oh no, sorry, I missed echo cancellation. That one needs to go off. Yeah, but it's
sorry.
Echo cancellation should be turned off. Noise suppression should be set to none, and input sensitivity should be set to manual and drag all the way to the left.
Okay.
Yep, that sounds right.
Is this better?
Yep.
But slight echo means it's working.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, great.
Alright, okay.
Okay.
Good job.
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch that.
If you go through the cheeses.
The drill.
Yeah, cheese.
Starting from
Starting from the whispers, sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
Cheese.
That was the other thing.
That was the other thing.
I'm so sorry, I've
Make sure
completely
those whispers.
forgotten the exercise.
That's okay, I'll go for it again.
That's okay, I'll go for it again.
Start with that
So,
larger cheese.
start with that larger cheese.
Okay, and make sure it's a full-on
Okay.
Make sure it's a full-on whisper. It's not like...
Yeah, okay.
And then start making it smaller. Then we have the phonation test. We're
bringing that sound back in halfway through.
Okay.
And then we go into the talking. So the full thing would be... And then we go into some talking where we say whatever it is we're going to say. And you can just, I don't know, tell me about your day for a bit.
Okay.
Heather D, I think you've got some audio leakage. If you could mute your mic, that would be really helpful, thank you.
Cheese.
Make sure we're starting from that large cheese and making smaller.
Okay, cheese.
Okay, I'll pause you there.
I see the issue now.
Okay.
Okay, we're struggling to actually get that size change.
So let's start
off.
Can you pants like a really big dog?
Can you pants like a really big dog? Nice.
Now can you put like a really
Now can you put like a really little dog, like a Pomeranian or something?
Nice.
Nice.
That's what I'm looking
Okay,
for.
that's what I'm looking
Just
for.
like you
Okay.
went,
Okay.
Just like you went.
I want to.
I want to.
And just like you went,
Yeah.
And just like you went.
I want to.
I want to. Cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chase,
Yeah.
chase, chase,
Try
chase,
again.
chase, 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 chase,
Little bit of
chase,
move
chase,
to that.
Little bit of move to that.
chase, 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 chase,
Okay.
chase.
Back where we
Okay,
need to work.
that's where we need to work then.
Okay.
I want a much larger range there.
So start
Okay.
off with that really
Start
big,
off with that really big,
just like that big dog.
just like that big dog.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then make that much smaller.
and then make that much smaller.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I think that's gonna
Okay.
be your main thing.
I think that's going to be your main thing.
Yeah.
Have a go.
Chase, 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 chase,
Getting
chase,
faster there.
Getting faster there. Getting faster
Now,
there.
make sure those cheeses.
Now, make sure those
stay really
cheeses
consistent
stay
as
really
the word
consistent
cheese.
as the word
So
cheese.
let it go to like.
So don't let it go to like
or
cheese
truth
or like
Okay.
truth or anything like that. I want like a really clear cheese.
Because that's your mouth size.
Because that's your mouth size changing. I don't want anything in your mouth happening or anything
Okay.
that's happening. I just want it to be background stuff.
Okay.
Try again.
Chase, chase,
Right?
chase,
Starting large.
Starting large.
chase, 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 chase,
Okay.
chase, chase.
Starting to get there. Another thing I'll mention.
Okay.
We don't need to use so much air. I can hear you getting run out there. Don't
Yeah.
go crazy about it.
It might
it's
be
like
better if I
quiet.
turn my
That'll probably
camera
help you.
on.
Oh, sure. If you're done with that.
Oh, sure.
To like-
Done with that.
YouTube, so don't worry.
It won't be
If
on
that's okay.
YouTube, so
Let me.
don't worry.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So make sure our whispers
Sure.
are
Okay.
nice and,
So make sure our whispers are nice
quiet.
and
that way
quiet.
we're not going like,
that
Okay.
way we're not going like.
don't need like tons of air coming into it.
Don't need like tons of air coming
When I
into
say
it.
larger,
Yeah.
When I say larger, I just mean the difference between like
and
and
that difference there.
Okay.
that difference there.
Alright, here we go.
Chase,
Right, give it a go.
chase, 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 chase,
Okay,
chase,
now we're
chase,
getting
chase.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Alright.
Alright.
Again.
Okay.
Large
Go
to
for it
small,
again.
And then bring
Large
the
to
vaccination
small,
test.
and then bring it back for nation test.
Chase, 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 chase. Is that
Starting to get somewhere.
Starting to get somewhere.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was definitely something.
sorry?
Like that was starting to
Like that was starting
change the sound of
to
your voice.
change the sound of your voice.
Yeah, I think it was. Cheese,
All right.
cheese, cheese,
Now
cheese,
be careful you
cheese.
don't muddle it with pitch,
It
okay?
is
Okay,
It is
pitch.
a different thing to pitch.
And whenever you try
Okay?
to reset
Okay.
And whenever you try to reset it, sorry, I keep knocking my mic.
Whenever you try to reset it,
Whenever you try to reset it, go through the whole drill again. Don't try to just go straight into the vaccination test. You need the whole drill to set you up.
Yeah, from there, just
From there, just
take
take your vaccination test and some talking.
So to go for a
So to
full
go for
thing,
a full thing,
if you go through
if you go through
whispers,
the whispers,
vaccination test,
into the vaccination
and
test,
then tell me
and then tell me about,
I know what you've been up to today.
what you've been up to today,
yeah, okay.
Trying to make
Chase,
trying to maintain that smallness.
yeah. Chase, 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 chase. Okay, is that
Okay, so we lost
is that okay? I feel like I'm still not
talking bit.
connecting with the exercise very well.
So your
It's
cheese
my
is
fault.
So your cheeses were really
No,
nice
it's
there.
fine, relax.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. Relax.
Yeah, the cheeses were totally
Yeah,
fine.
the cheeses were
As
totally
you went
fine.
into a talking,
As you went into the talking,
Okay,
you
that's
dropped
just
it.
gonna become
Okay,
a practice.
that's just going to become a practice.
Okay.
another thing that might be worth
Another
trying
thing
for
that
you,
might be
just
worth
to
trying
see,
for you,
because some
just to
people,
see, because some
vibe
people
better
vibe better off of the word
So let's
cat.
try the exact same
So
thing
let's try the
with
exact
cat.
same thing
Just
with
to
the word
see.
cat, just to see what happens.
Okay. Okay.
remember?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, yeah. Like is like doing like actual voice now, and this is
And you can tell as well.
this is okay. Yes, I
Dropping,
can.
isn't it?
I can tell it's like it's a bit different.
And that's really good.
And that's really good. You can tell as well. That's a really important bit.
Okay.
So just keep practicing. Every time you notice it drop, re-trill, start again, and just keep going.
Okay.
And eventually this is going to start becoming nice and easy.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Like, I'm just not really. I know I've got like a bad relationship. Like, I've got a mixed relationship with voice training, I guess. Like, like. Sorry, I'm.
I get it.
Might just hang up, but yeah, I might hang up, but I might just like message in the chat about it later. But yeah.
Is what was I going to say?
You've been going through this a long time.
You've been going through this a long time,
and you've
Yeah,
had a lot of
I
difficulty
have.
with it. Super valid.
and it's super valid that you're going to be like struggling a bit with this.
Try to,
To the best that you can,
focus on
on
isolated sound
the
change.
isolated sound
You don't
change,
have to stress
so you
about
don't
Yeah.
have to stress about sounding more femme or more mask. It sounds smaller.
Just to help you to not.
Just to help you to not have that like.
Because obviously, as soon as we go into.
Because obviously, as soon as we go into mask and femme, we have that emotional loading that comes with it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
right.
as
Yeah.
best as you're able to, if you can isolate it, that's going to help.
Okay.
Also, like.
Allow yourself some space. You know.
This is going to be a big thing.
This is going to be a big thing for you.
Anxiety is
Anxiety is going to be a
Emotion's
thing.
gonna be a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
emotional is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And that's like okay, and that's fine. And give yourself
Yeah.
that space. You know.
Like it's not like it's like yeah, that's been like it's been closely tied to like doing voice training is like a dysphoria trigger, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
It's always been closely tied to that, which makes me think like maybe it'll get easier with like VFS. I know like I actually have the opportunity to do it now, and like I feel like like yeah, maybe I can get the results from voice training, but like would have happened by now if that was possible for me. I think.
I would be careful with that.
As we've gone over
Earlier today,
first of all,
first of all,
there's a lot of bad
teaching out there.
Yeah.
If you've been doing this
Yeah.
for a decade, I say with absolute certainty
teaching a
that
decade
the
ago.
teaching a decade ago was shit.
Yeah.
Just shit.
Yeah.
Imagine a decade ago,
You're being told things like swallow and hold.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
focus on pitch for years and years. You're probably being told. You might have been told things about like women are quieter or some dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
teaching a decade ago
was shit. It was just shit.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, like
this isn't necessarily a you problem. This is the field. It's a new field. It's been growing and has only really been good for, in my opinion, about the last 5 years, and still has a lot of growth to come.
Okay.
So
unless a doctor
has told you that there is a problem with your voice,
you can do this.
you can do this.
Okay.
You can really easily tell. Like,
If you are capable of
if you are capable of swallowing, then you are capable of like hyper feminizing.
Yeah.
If you're capable of yawning,
If you're capable of yawning, then you're capable of arrested feminizing. So like, you're already feminizing in your daily behaviors. You just don't use them in a voice thing, in a voice context.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
So
Thank
I
you.
would definitely not assume that you're not capable. That doesn't mean that you like. I'm not telling you to not get VFS if that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
I just want to make it.
I just
certain that
can't
you're not
like.
doing it because you think this isn't possible.
Yeah. I just can't like. I'm trying to like do pros and cons, and like there aren't really any cons for me. Like like I have the money and the opportunity to do it right now. Like I'm not like it's not going to impact me in professional sense. Like if I lose range, like I really don't care. I just want to I just don't want to be misgendered day to day, and I'm not like in a public speaking role or anything.
That's super bad. And
Like it can only get easier, like the voice training can only get easier. Like if I do it, I guess.
Yeah, I would say definitely speak to your doctor
in depth about this.
Yeah.
If it's a decision
Okay.
you come to
If
with,
it's a decision you come to with, that's
like,
completely fine.
I
Like,
will
I will be communicating that you can't get the FS, like, 100% unstable to you.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure if it's an
I just want to make sure that it's an informed decision, that, like, you know that you can absolutely get to your goal training.
Okay.
Then,
Yeah. Thank
based
you.
on that, you can make the decision.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I better let you
Right.
help other people. I'm hogging the
No, it's fine.
time a bit,
No, it's
but
fine, it's
yeah.
fine,
Thank
it's
you.
fine, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you super.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, you super.
All right. Good luck, girl.
Alright, good luck, girl.
All right, having a look at chats. Boobity boo 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 boo. I have no idea what you're even asking for, Sarah Mendel. Boobity boo 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 boo. Oh, okay. Yeah, Sky, you've connected with Dr. Smith. Yes, you can absolutely use this to feminize your voice in German. Language is not affected by this, or masculinize your voice. Sorry, or androgynize. Yeah, language is not a relevant factor here. You can do this in any language. It's all the same, because these things happen before, like, speech. Excuse me. Like, literally, if we're looking for the contract itself, it happens here, okay, and speech happens here. So, like, literally, it happens before using words. Just making that base sound. So, yeah. Cool. Okay. Any other chats I need to catch on? I'm just a trans DC/Burn Sandman who can now shapeshift, so is never man again. I watched Jenny recently, and holy shit, the Jenny from fucking what are they called? Jordan. Oh my god. Am I actually trans femme, or am I like gender fluid? I don't know anything anymore. God damn. Yeah, I don't know. Either do watch or don't watch Gen V or trans. I don't know which one it is, but it's definitely one of them. Okay, alright. Some more help with her voice. Next.
Hello.
Yeah, I can help you. Hey.
Hi, so I was that I haven't really had so I'm gonna try and speak in fem voice. Oh, of course.
I don't know which one of the microphones is unmuted. And
Oh, okay, so it's my turn?
oh, hello. Okay.
I didn't realize there was
you
anybody else. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. We're in 4 VCs, so you wouldn't necessarily notice. That's what I'm here for.
True. So really what I'm dealing with, Hera, food, please.
That's okay.
I've been, I want to think one of my biggest hurdles with voice training that I didn't get was, for the longest time, I've been subconsciously raising my larynx. So when I finally embraced, because I mean I've known I was trans for a while, so when I finally embraced it, about voice training, the exercises that were there, it's like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. It was a bit of a roadblock, and I spent like a week entirely upset because I was like, I can't do anything. And then one day I was just like, oh, I was able to raise my larynx. So now I'm having to undo all those years that I've just been raising the larynx and speaking in a higher pitch and try to incorporate the other exercises, because I don't know, my voice, it still sounds somewhat masked whenever I record it and go back and listen to it. But I don't know what else. I've been trying to do the exercises like the cheese, cat, key. I mean, I've only been doing it for about a month, so I shouldn't expect obvious results right away. But I don't know if you can give me some advice in regards to.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, what's the goal? What are we comparing to? And you're not allowed to say fam. Or at least you have to say more than just fam.
Actually, it's rather embarrassing. Which I don't know if it's entirely reasonable for me to get. But
First of all,
I
it
got
is.
recent.
But go
Yeah,
on.
I was like, I recently got my hands on. I don't know if you play any games, but I recently got my hands on Cyberpunk 2077 after
Haven't played it
the
yet.
fad and everything
Mm-hmm.
has died out. And I created my character and the voice for V. I don't know what it was, but I heard it and I absolutely went carnal for it
Mm-hmm.
for
Okay,
the
so
female V. So
real quick, if I type in Cyberpunk 2077 and V, would that show up? Just so I
mhm.
can hear this?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't even. I was like, I avoided a lot of stuff about it because I didn't think it was going to be my type of game. And then one day it was on sale, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, we'll just try it.
Just okay.
And I
I'm
fell
gonna
in love.
try and find a clip, just so I can like hear this and know what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, V Cyberpunk 2077. Okay, I
I was like,
assume. Oh wait, hang on. Oh wait, that's a soundtrack. Never mind. I don't want a soundtrack. Boo. Not how powerful is V really? Like just gameplay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It's
here
a
we go.
bunch of
Thank
gameplay.
you.
I don't.
Monkey Bandit. Thank you.
I was like, I don't know, even remember which one I used because I know there's a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Click play, but my computer's really struggling because of all VCs, so it'll take a minute for it to actually load.
No, you're fine.
Um,
Absolutely.
okay, I need to check Task Manager. 'Cause
Then
very
Yorinobu cut himself off from the
There we
corp.
go.
Joined the Steel Dragons, nomads, from Tokyo. Heard they were planning an Arasaka coup or its downfall.
It is so
Heard we're
warm.
playing in Osaka.
Packing
Okay. Oh, okay, but
up, clearing
there's
out.
more than one voice. Oh wait, no, it's the same voice.
Ventilation system. Fumes from the stem rose.
Okay, so what I'm hearing in her voice is tiny bit of brightness, although that could be those particular lines. Definitely a lower pitch, and then small size, lightweight. So, listening to talk a little bit more, just so I can compare the two again. Just say.
Hello. No, that's.
Hey, okay.
I lost the voice.
Yeah, okay. So, literally the only real change I'm hearing is Cyberpunk V voice. It seems to have a bit of a lower pitch, and again, could just be particular lines because I've just heard a little bit of lines there because my just a couple of lines. Like one.
She's definitely got a bit of a lower pitch. That's for sure.
Yeah. Switch down a bit. And that's an easy one because there's a million tuners you can find online to help you. But pitch down a bit. Or just play around with pitch until you find something that you particularly like. And then also, she has like a very, it had a very kind of commanding, so it's more of a speech, I think, speak more authoritatively. It's got kind of a voice like this, where we're really being very like commanding, and this is what's happening. I'm doing this, and you can hear there are things happening with the loudness of my voice, where I'm like accentuating certain words because these are the things I want you to listen to. Things like that. Obviously, you're not always going to be talking like that 24/7.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
I think the main thing is probably going to be the pitch thing.
Probably, and you would think I'd be able to do this because an orchestra for all of my middle and high school years, but when it comes to voice, those skills don't equate.
Yeah, it's hard to pull apart voices into their constituent elements. That's what you'll hear like me. So yeah, I would say a real difference I'm hearing in her voice compared to yours is a bit of a pitch. So my main goal for you would be play with pitch. I'm not going to give you a specific note because I want you to just have an explore and see exactly what you like. But to give you, I guess, a vibe, you could play with like somewhere like F3 would be, wouldn't it? Let me just double check because notation is a slightly different octave system. Yeah, so they're like I don't know, F3, E3, D3, those sorts of ranges, maybe even as low as C if you manage it.
I don't know if I can because my natural voice is. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well that answers my question. So it's just focusing on pitch now.
Yeah, focus on pitch. That's going to be your main thing. To get
and there's no issue with breathiness or raspiness or anything like that?
Play around with like a tiny bit of breathiness if you want. Because I think in her voice sometimes I have a little bit of breathiness. Or, well, play around with all levels of breathiness and then see what you like. Other than that, I'm not hearing any major differences between you and that clip.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. All right, no worries, no worries. Okay, and then there was somebody else at the same time that wanted. That I will let them go next. I think I saw that it was Skylar, but I wasn't quite sure. Whoever it was, you get to go next. Unless it was Fred.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So sorry, first of all, I've harassed you with this on like several occasions. I made the little mature female voice Fred, and I think when you said that you should like compare yourself to other voices, right? I think it's like a well, it's a bit of vocal fry, and it's also like a brassiness in the tone that I think I really enjoy, and I'm not really sure how to emulate that.
Yeah, sure. So finding some clips will be helpful for me to double check to
Uh
make
huh.
sure I know where we talk about the same thing. Well, vocal fry is going to be an easy one. Obviously, vocal fry is this kind of a sound right here.
Yeah.
To get you to, oh, we could go. Okay, we could do a weird one.
Oh, okay.
Try dropping your pitch.
Mhm.
Eventually, some fry is probably going to come in.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah,
Nice.
I can feel it.
Yep. All right. Now try to bring that fry back up
Mhm.
again. So basically,
Oh.
searching for something else.
Okay, I don't know if I can do it. I'm gonna try.
Give it a
It sounds a bit strange. It sounds a bit like constricted.
What I mainly heard was definitely that buzziness of a heavier weight came with it. So try to. There's your first bit of homework. Try to play with.
Okay.
Reaching for that fry. Dragging it up again. What it can also do to help
Mhm.
is go down to that low pitch where the fry starts and see if gain that level of control. Then start
Okay.
doing the same thing as you raise your pitch to try and again continually on and off as you slowly bring your pitch up to bring that excuse me to bring that control
No worries.
into your ordinary bass pitch. How does that sound?
Oh, sorry, if you hear my keyboard, I'm gonna write this down really quick.
Really, like,
Oh, wow.
cartoon baby crying, okay?
It's like that?
Oh,
Oh
no.
my god.
Getting there.
Okay, okay.
Really like. Okay, I think we're starting to get there now.
Okay.
Can't quite tell, but I'm pretty sure. Alright, try to take that into talking.
So we can kind of talk like this a little bit. Talk like this.
Okay, I can try and talk like this, but that sounds really strange.
Okay, it's gonna have a really strange sound to it. Obviously, we're
Yeah.
crazy degree. Eventually, you have to like scale this back a bit and just use it as you're wanting to use it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really
You
insightful.
try,
Thank you.
if
Huh?
the baby thing is difficult, as a witch cackle.
Oh my god, I did that in speech therapy, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find
That one is cool.
the easier one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Okay, okay. Okay, that's really cool. I can play with that then. Yeah, okay. So I find it interesting that you had like you spoke about how is it a Spider-Man movie? I don't know. Made you feel like you're gender fluid. I've recently also had like an awakening where I am trans femme, right? But I've been feeling a little bit more in touch with my tomboy side, I suppose. How would you go about like walking the line between like a less still femme sounding voice, if that makes sense, and like passing, because passing is important to me.
Yeah, so I would say just play around with size and weight.
Hmm.
Where this line is going to be is going to depend on you and how you feel about your voice and your presentation.
Yeah.
So just play around with size and weight, see what you feel happy with.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can just stick to my references now I think about it. And work from there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely have a good explore if that's something you're looking into.
Okay.
Most people will never gender something as
Mhm.
non-binary or androgynous, unfortunately, because people just
Yeah, exactly.
so because of that, if you're wanting to be like labeled as femme but moving more androgynous,
Mhm.
if you can go quite close to androgynous and still be having people put you in the femme bucket.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that sounds really good. Okay, I'm gonna try and work on that. Thank you.
All right. There is. Happy with. Yeah, just play with it. Yeah, definitely have a good explore if that's something you're looking into. Most people will never gender something as non-binary or androgynous, unfortunately. Yes, that would be a thing that Beth is saying. I don't fully understand it, but it sounds like it would probably be a thing, so be aware of it. Is a twangy voice the same as nasally voice? Beth laid it out perfectly there. Common misconception: people often call nasal, often call twang a nasally voice, but it isn't at all. I have to find out why people call twang nasal. Nasal actually sounds so having nasality, having your air go through your nasal tract, is the sound of this. And when you can't talk like this, you have this kind of trombone kind of a voice. This is me having a huge amount of nasality right now. Or we could go for like hyponasality. Oh, so wow, since I practiced this, how do I do this again? Okay, kind of talk like this. I have this kind of blocked nose kind of sound. This is me having hyponasality. Blocked off the nasal tract, so nothing's going through it at all. You kind of sound like this, got blocked nose. So that trombone voice, that like ha ha ha, that's gonna be nasality. No sound where I haven't got anything going through. Hang on. That was, hang on. Okay, I'm going through my nose right now. It kind of sounds blocked. This is me using hyponasality. Again, blocks or passing through nose. These are all nasal tract things, okay? That's the spectrum of nasality. Twang is a completely different thing, nothing to do with nasal tract. It's theorized to be, the science a little bit out on where twang is coming, but we're pretty certain it comes from, at least the aryepiglottic folds are heavily involved. Beyond that, twang's still being researched a little bit. But for some reason, we really call that twang. I don't know why. I have never found someone who can answer that for me. In my mind, it doesn't sound anything like irritable. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Like a cultural thing that's to that. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it is. It's a different thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the most hyponasal is if you just like close off your nose. It will sound slightly different though, because you have it going through your nasal tract and stopping that and rebounding back. But in the first place, then you'll have like proper hyponasality, and it will sound exactly like when you've got a cold and your nose is all bunged up. The other twang sometimes gets called drawl. Depends on if you're like southern twang is sometimes called drawl. I don't know. You Americans. Okay, that would be cool. I would use that to make it clearer when I'm distinguishing some twang. Thank you, Beth. Also, hey, we said huge up earlier. That's about Beth. If you want to give her some mad fucking clout right now. Yep. Skylar says, yeah, I'm in this awkward spot where you want to sound AFAB while also not sounding excessively femme, if that makes sense. Yeah. If you're just not wanting extreme amount of femme, then just don't go for extreme amount of femme. You just size and weight to the extent you want. Usually if we're trying to sound like super femme, we'd be doing stuff like OBC and stuff like that. I'd be thinking voices like Ziana from Trans Voice Lessons, Z. Hey, it's your girl, Z. She has a lot more extremity to her femininity in her voice, and that produces a voice a little bit more like this. There's a lot more going on for that one. I find most people don't have that for goal, but for those that do, how do you feel about Ziana impression is insanely good. Yeah, I practiced it a lot. That's pretty hyper femme. Most people aren't after the goal. It's totally fine if you're not after that goal. But if you are after it, everyone can do it. You'd be looking to some OPC stuff. I don't tend to include it in the workshop because it's a bit more advanced. If you were looking for that, just like let me know. And we can go over it a little bit. Boo. Just checking I haven't missed any questions. Okay. Yo, I was fun for, so good. Yeah, again, I do this for a living, so. Hello. Oh, if you were wanting some help with your voice, you can totally have some help with your voice there. We are doing speaking.
Hello.
Hello, how can I help you?
Hi. So do you remember me?
Yeah, I know you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was like, okay, I lost some of my resonance there, but like, you know, like I was just like thinking like I think I'm like at a really good spot now. Like I'm at like a lot better spot because like I could like what I do is like I first do this, like I don't know what it's called, but I first like do that and then like do that like I feel like I really lose it like right now, but sometimes like I really get it, but I can't get it sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's OPC that you're doing there. Oropharyngeal closure or oropharyngeal constriction. For people that don't know, OPC is very like. This will take me. If I can I look at an image in OBS? I know the answer to that. Let's see. OPC. We have a film. This is where my controls. Okie dokie. Pictures. I can load up GIFs, but I cannot see which is which. Can these load properly? I might have one GIF in here. No, oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Yes, there we go. This is what OPC is. Okay. So you can see when my stuff works properly. The arch right at the very back. So ignore those pointy things. Ignore the downward pointy thing. The arch at the very back is called the palatopharyngeal arch. You don't. You can do this exact same thing. You can look in a mirror. Shine it more like versus or big cheese, little cheese. But you can get way more. This is how you get that like Ziana voice. If you're going for like, hi, this is Z from Trans Voice Lessons. Nah, it's too dark. You can't see in my mouth. But yeah, that's how you get that voice.
Like, I don't know. Like, I like lose that. I just like, maybe it's more like a. Maybe it's like a. It's probably yeah. It's definitely like.
First thing, if you can go into your toilet. Oh, I have to. No. Okie dokie. Okay. Unmute yourself in the various discords now. And I think I know a faster method to do that for next time. I'll play with. Okay, give me just a second because Transnetwork one has crashed, so I can't unmute it. It's okay, I'll just be a second. Okay, and now Transnetwork can hear us as well. Okay, alright. Everybody should be able to hear us again. Hopefully I successfully muted before and you didn't hear me pee. We should all be okay. Okay, cool. Cool. Flora, you seem to have your settings correct, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's give you a better technique for this OPC stuff. Now, first of all, OPC is quite a difficult skill. And so far, I have not come across any drills, nor come up with one myself, that's really that good. They're all a bit shit. But we'll do our best, okay? Have I gone through the E speaking from E thing with you before?
I think, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the E speaking from E thing is kind of the best we got right now. So to remind you, and for everybody that doesn't know what we're on about right now, the drill is basically E speaking from E, and then try to take that into your voice as you continue talking. Now you're not trying to take that smiling into your voice as you're talking. You're just trying to take E requires OPC if you just say it. So you try to take that same like bright sound of the E into your voice. So again, that's E speaking from E, and then you try to continue that as you start talking. And this produces that really small sound that's in my voice right now. Yeah.
E speaking from E. E. And I talk like that in my voice. One.
Yeah.
Bear. Bear.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I like okay. I feel like I'm like kind of close to like my vocal goals, but like I just like lose it all the time. I'm like it just goes off. You know what I'm saying? Like it just goes really off.
Yeah. That's just gonna be practice. Just keep practicing.
Yeah.
Just keep practicing, using it more and more. Every time it drops, go back into E, speaking from E, and then continue using it as you can. Now to have an ankle word of bear. I know exactly because I used it, way back in the day before I knew about E speaking from E. Sorry about that. So even if you need to, you can just go for that bear, and try to do that as you go through. Careful
bear,
also steal accent if that's not necessarily an accent you're going for.
Yeah.
It's maybe the R. So where she's going like bear, or whatever it is, or appropriate accent. But yeah, it sounds like it's just a practice for you.
I helped me a lot with my voice. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, like thank you. Okay, that's all.
You're super welcome. Good luck. Something like okay. So E, speaking from E, like literally, I'll type it out. E speaking from E. When it sends. For the E requires OC, so it will encourage. You can use it to continue. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a sentence. It's just a sentence that has a lot of E sound in it. So if you're going for expansion, we swap out E for or, as in like paw. Okay, or, and then you continue that for that larger oropharyngeal space. Yeah. So like if you were masculinizing, you want to do let's say, oh my gosh, and I masculinize it. See, E speaking from E. If you had a lot of PC going on in your masculine voice, you could go for like an R to try to encourage that oropharyngeal do not have OPC coming through. I should practice OPC in mask voice. That is a crazy thing, but I've never done. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a sentence to help you set up. I drank my water. All right, would anybody else like some help with their voice? Speak next. We'll probably wrap up soonish. Excuse me.
I have like I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it. It's something else, so yeah.
Sorry. How could voice like?
It's pretty close. It's pretty spot on. It's been a minute since I've rewatched another video, but if she's a goal, you're pretty much getting there.
Yes.
More American. So yeah, I think just keep practicing it, and you'll be.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Back. Yeah, Sikrim, go for it. Oh, after stream. Sorry. We'll see. Yeah, there it is. Anybody else wants to have advice? Or anyone just has questions? One thing you wanted to ask is, you think you're having trouble with raising your larynx. And you wanted to know if there is supposed to be a big difference between unraised and raised larynx. There'll be a big change in the sound. Yeah. So, oh. Pretty big change in the sound. If you're talking about other big changes like sensation or movement, then why are we focusing on that, lazy Nimrod? I don't want you having any focus on your anatomy. By all means, hop on mic if you want to. If you're feeling like that is too much, then you're welcome to send a clip into my voice feedback channel if you want me to go with that, and it's just in front of you, I suppose.
I'll hop on mic and just say thank you for continuing these multi-hour long streams. You help so many people. And so this is my voice sample. Obviously I'm American, I'm from Houston. I will say, I'm thinking maybe some Asian guidance might be in order.
Okay.
What do you think?
Where do you feel like your pronunciation struggle? What words you struggle to pronunciate?
Probably anything with R's in it. You know, my native accent is very rhotic, and the masculine R is, probably different from how I would pronounce it. So I think for some reason it always feels like I'm thrown off when there's an R.
Okay, so I don't know specifically in terms of whether it's a masculine R or for America. I know you guys do have a very rhotic R. It has like a very muchness to the R. So it might be that because it's such a focal point that there is that more distinguishing happening. That could also have the opposite effect where it has like very little because it is so extreme. So I would recommend, first of all, just listen to masculine speakers and feminine speakers around you, just like literally around your locality, and just listen to how they say "ah" and how they're doing it. Beyond that, if we're struggling to, are you struggling to? Well, I guess give me the word car. We'll see how you say it.
Okay. If I say you, I would park the car in Hollywood, but that's not very cool. So the car.
Yeah,
just I don't know. It's. Let me press way. Park the car in Harvard Yard. Park the car in Harvard Yard. That's weird. Park the car in Harvard Yard.
What you're saying to me. What's feeling weird about it? Is it just is it?
I guess I'm going out of my.
Sorry, go on.
I think there's something about works for the repair woman, but okay, now that you have me thinking about, like earlier, I was not thinking about it. It felt normal, but it sounded wrong. Now it feels like if I specifically think about it, everything slows down. My tongue feels like I'm moving through lattice, and like so you do the sound but to get that I feel like I'm thinking about it so hard that I'm losing track of what I'm saying.
Okay. I just what you're saying. Let me go for just a second. Is it what happened from voice in general, or just you try to focus on these rhotic R's?
I think if I try to focus on R's, like there, I did it what felt like a standard way, but it also sounded wrong to my ear.
Okay,
Or if I say sounded wrong,
if it's happening when you're
even
trying
the
to
word wrong sounds wrong.
Okay, so be
Like if
careful because
I'm
you don't need to
focusing,
repeat the
I
same
feel like I
sounds as
can
many
get
times as it
this.
sounds wrong as that.
Yeah. If I'm careful about it, I think I can get there. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but yes, I can, but there's so much focus.
Yeah, okay, so basically what's
It,
happening is cognitive overload. You're having to have, this is something that is not normally dealt with by your conscious experience. Normally we deal with this subconsciously. But right now, you're trying to change what your conscious does, so you're doing it consciously. And that is a big old task. Part of it is practice, lots of practice. And part of it is increasing cognitive load even further to force your brain to shove that change into the subconscious areas. It's kind of like if I was a computer analogy, right now you're dealing with using the processor, you need to move out of cache. It's an accurate computer analogy. Yeah, we need to move this to less conscious areas of the mind. So best way to do that is increasing focus burden. Obviously, don't do this so much that you lose the ability to talk because you've got so much to focus on. But basically, try practicing by maintaining the range you're looking for. But if this could apply to anything where we have issue conversion. And yeah, just try to like explain something out loud that is like at the edge of your understanding, like something that's really fucking complicated. You're a programmer, so try and like some really like some super like really low level stuff. Saying basic as in like for programmer term, basic knowledge in it, basic it's complicated as fuck. Like super low level stuff, where because I'm just guessing this is going to be very very difficult to do. Just like explain out loud like how shit works. Really, it's to give you a note, so you're really having to like think about it. You barely remember, so you're having to be like about what you're saying, like the actual content, and you like kind of figure out as you go along. You're adding as much cognitive burden as we can while you're doing it, and it forces you to move value. What do you say? Keep practicing it. Just practice. How does it sound? It's like exercise works for me where we're struggling with not having enough cognitive space and like think about everything.
makes sense. Thank you so very much for giving us opportunities to apply this. Thank you. Bye bye. I'm not leaving. I'm just going to get quiet now.
Yeah, no, there it is. Thank you so much. Also, big ups to Beth. Woo woo! What's here free status? Go. Thank you so much. Cool. Yes, that can help. Also, Rhett, you'll be getting the same special gold being one of our tier 3 supporters. I just want to say...
Am I going to have to bump it up to tier 4 so I'm still on top?
Yo, holy shit. That would be fucking nuts, Beth. I will not discourage that. A whole new tier in the workshop slide. Hell yeah, find out who pays more. You should say you're way more educated on these topics than I've ever anticipated. Yo, thanks so much, Crystal. That is very, very nice for you to say. I guess I try my best to be. Yeah, would anybody else like some help with their voice? You can just speak next if you'd like to go next. Wow, it's sounding like we've gotten through every. Magus the Demon says, thank you for the help as well. You've got to go. No worries. Storm is rolling in. Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Be safe, Magnus. Heck yeah. Wow, Yolda, you've responded to that ages later after I sent it. Is the YouTube that laggy? Is YouTube, like, totally... Yes. Oh, yeah, we've been doing some memes. That's not good. And we're at 15%. That's very not good. Okay, YouTube, I will have you fixed for next time. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing there. CPU is only at, like, 40%. I'm guessing it's more complicated than that. It's GPU. What did I just say? My GPU usage is super high, and my memory usage is super high. Oh, my GPU is running. Okay, I will, I guess, either the frames over quality or something. Oh, it could be my bandwidth, because I'm in 4 different calls as well. I'll play around. Frame drops in a delay? Yeah, so I'm guessing that's you in bandwidth. Yeah, kinda. It's normally not too bad, though. Like, it normally manages fine on the... Normally the YouTube is like the best output and the best patch through. I have a question. You have an issue between your male vocal ranges and your female vocal ranges. When you use my tips, moving your voice up and down, when you make that transition, voice like skips slightly, like record skipping. It's weird. You're not sure how to feel about it. Is it basically okay? You're going but like is it that? If so, it's completely normal, and everybody has that to a small extent. Listen really carefully, even as I have it smooth. If you really listen, and mine's pretty smooth, which isn't a good or bad thing. It just has to be smooth. If you really listen carefully, you might hear when if you're really carefully listening, I heard it. As a switch, some people have a harder break, some people have a softer break. Really do not need to worry about it. It doesn't matter the slightest. It's more mass, more thing. Everybody has a light switch. Some people are smoother than others. Just don't need to worry about it. Also, reference mixed voice there. Mixed voice is actually a kind of made up thing. What you can do is you can make your M1. So right, I'm talking as the way I'm talking right now. People terribly call this chest voice. Just your audio, that's M1. And this right now is M2. Okay. So if you're speaking like this, which is actually a singing style, but whatever, and some people horribly call this head voice. That word is nothing to do with head. All voice have in the same places. We call that M2. It's just your vocal folds vibrating in different ways. Yeah, there is usually a break in between the two. Always ache. Some people will have a hard break and smoother break. Mix is where some people will say, or what people will call mix is people making M1 sound like M2 or sound like M1, but you just said M1 M2. It can sound like people. So like you would call it MX1 or Mix 2, where you've made M1 sound like M2 or made 2 sound like M1. Yeah. I find that as you solve these, they instantly smooth out your break, but that's just coincidence, and it doesn't mean anything. The only time I want you messing with your break is if you can do singing styles that require that. There is a concept you'll run into of a smoother break being better, or like smoothing out the passaggio if you're in the singing world. That is some like old-fashioned idea permeating society of kind of a kind of Eurocentrism kind of a thing. Essentially, European and kind of white singing styles traditionally also incorporate a smooth passaggio. That's the proper name for that break. They have a too as a feature style, and we've had this idea that that is like the correct way to move pitch. In reality, it's just kind of how it's been done traditionally in singing styles, whatever. But if you go into other styles, you see this in some black singing. You see this in some Asian styles, where actually the break was a feature. And those hard breaks are like part of the music, and they give us like really dramatic emotional impact. So break is, especially when we're talking speaking, it means nothing. It's just you have a hard break, and it's whatever. I guess you could smooth it out if you wanted to, or don't if you don't want to. Like it's just it's a customized thing, I suppose. Alright, anyone else just wanting some help with a voice? I'll take one more person. If not, I'll wait for the last few questions to be tied up and answer them before finishing up. Interesting dynamics in the audio of the vocal tract having to do with resonance nodes. I think that the tube, it has various frequencies that resonate well, and as you change its shape, those frequencies also change. Yeah. We've been doing that for all sorts of time, where they make like artificial vocal tracts, and you can do really cool stuff. Like you can literally like have a generator that's like making its own, and just by stacking different tubes on it, you can make it say different words. It's really cool. It really shows that like filter model. You can't wait for your lesson on Monday. Hells yeah, Crystal. Oh, you can actually break in a I thought it was mainly to do with vocal fold behavioral stuff. That's okay. They are like recreating vocal folds essentially as their tone producer, which would make sense. Because what's happening is literally, so normally we move our vocal folds in a kind of waving motion. It's not really like this. It's more like a Mexican wave kind of like erupting out from the center as the air comes through, but that's really hard for me to do on my hands. That's your normal M1. That's what I'm using right now. In M2, you kind of just stretch out and flatten out, and you just really rapidly open and close. And that's how I produce the sort of what I'm doing right now. That's how your vocal folds do this sound. Yeah, it's like changing shapes or changing in like the ways that the vocal laid out as they're vibrating, and changing like the way they vibrate. But yeah, that's what the M stands for, by the way. Vibratory mechanism. I don't know why it's not VM, but it's not. It's just, I don't know what the scientific community decided. Alright, I'll wait for this last. Oh, hello? What was that? Sorry? Hello? I think we lost him. Rip. Rip, I guess their stuff died. Thanks, community. Oh, you're super welcome. Super welcome. You have some people you want to recommend here? Yeah, definitely do that. 100% do that. Hells yeah. Alright, let's wrap up then. Oh, for resonance in the oral/pharyngeal area also influences how the vocal cords are willing to vibrate. Possibly we could have issues. We could have things like that rebounding effect that we have in softies, changes to the vocal tract size. I could see that. Send me through that paper, Beth. I'd love. Yeah, 100% send through that paper. Pop it in the Voice Fairy channel. That'd be really cool. All right, let's wrap up. So thank you all so much for coming. I do these workshops every week, so if there's something you miss or like a question you get, whatever, just pop in next week. Also a good idea to check in on the Discord. Apologies. If you're in YouTube right now, then in your description you'll see a link to my Discord. You can also, if you're in Discord right now, then you just click on the account to present this to you, and within its bio you'll be able to find links to my Discord, my community's trans network, and yeah, you can join it. It's got cool shit now. Also, well, sleepiness is just telling. We had a few different people join with Ko-fi today, so huge thank you to those people. In fact, pretty sure. Oh, I can't. The membership. Huge thank you. Yeah, the talent here too. So huge thank you there. Donation is a nation. Yo, thank you. If this is what we do, then head over to the Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/transnetwork. Is that right? ko-fi kofi.com/transnetwork. Yeah. Head over there. While I'm on stream, I have to open, send messages and stuff. Also, just thank you to, and yeah, if you'd like to be one of those supporters, head over to the Ko-fi. What else? YouTube, obviously. I'm trying to build for YouTube. We recently had a stream that went super viral from 4 views to like 6. That was insane. So yeah, if you want to head over to YouTube, definitely head over to that. Oh, hello. I can take one more if you're ready.
Hello. How's it going?
How can I help you?
Okay, so is this like a training room or something?
Yeah, so just finishing off the workshop. So it's a workshop. There are a lot of people here you might not be able to see because we're in 4 different VCs.
Okay. surprising to me. Well, in that.
Just to make sure you are aware of what's happening right now, I am currently live streaming to YouTube. So videos, and yeah, I can help you guys. You can miss a whole lot, but if like just a voice or just you can be our last one.
I don't have any questions.
Oh,
yeah.
Fine. All right. Well,
I do have one question.
Yeah,
well,
go for it.
How many people are here? How many people are?
Oh, good question. Quieter now, so maybe like 15ish. However many people are on for YouTube. Yeah. If you're in Rainbow Library, if you click on 014, there'll be a bunch of links there. So shoot Discord for my Discord. Yeah. 100%. Yourself. Yeah. All right. I'll wrap up. So thank you all so much for coming. youtube.com/trans_network. Discord, you have links because I'm not going to read out a Discord link. I guess I'll put somewhere. And then Ko if you want, and thank you to people too. Okay, right, I'll keep the stream out. So if you're watching over at YouTube, thank you so much. Makeup will be better. And next time it will be Laurie. It's been I will finish.
Awesome stuff. Oh yeah.
Okay, that is for YouTube done. And it's still stopping stream. Wow, the YouTube